Starting. Cool. Hey guys, welcome to today's live stream coming to you from Peter's home studio. We are going to do some retouching and answer some questions. How many photos do you reckon you'll get through?
Whatever I do, I don't know. Depends how much I talk.
Yeah, well, we talk underwater. I'll be here to answer any questions. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat box and I will ask them to Peter as he retouches.
As I retouch?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get my folders up. So that's the best you can do.
Well, I don't know what else to say. Oh, I hope everyone's still staying safe and everyone's well. Not going too stir crazy in your houses.
Sorry, I've got a bit of a in my throat. No, it's not that. It's staying up way too late last night working. Cool. All right. Can you see me?
Mine looks a bit pixelated, but I think that's because of the internet. Because I'm not on 5G.
No, you're not on 5G.
So I think that's all.
Yeah. Feedback if anything with quality that looks crap.
If any cameras drop out, if any mics are bad, please let us know. Just saying it's bad doesn't help. We need to know specifics if you could, pretty please.
What do I do with this stuff so I can see my screen? Yeah. Do I just drag it all out of the way?
I think so, yeah.
What about that? Does that have to stay there?
No,
that's
okay. If it doesn't help you.
Cool.
If it's in your way, you can get rid of it. Yes, I don't have wine. It's too early for wine. I have coffee instead today.
Rubbish, you got a wine on the floor. Nobody can see where you hit it. You sure now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just getting my desktop so I can actually see to do works.
Also, they can barely hear me. So.
Barely hear you?
Yeah. Let me check.
Let you check. Can they hear me all right?
Mine is a bit soft.
Yours is a bit soft.
I'm going to try moving my microphone around. Sorry about that.
No, just turn up your knobs. That one there will take you a bit louder.
Hello everyone tuning in all over the world. We have people from all over the place.
What?
You can hear your voice coming from there.
Go away. All right. So are you on me?
Flick it to...
Cool. So
No,
Natalia. It's not flicking to me? You do your things.
Did you broke it?
I didn't do it.
Sorry guys, I'm just trying to get it for you guys to be able to see Peter's screen. There we go. Cool.
Can I hide that?
Still too low. Alright, let me just...
Where's our volume one?
Sorry, I'll just twist it on here.
Keep talking.
Peter's is good. Alright, I've just turned myself up a bit, so hopefully that's better.
You're looking better here.
Okay.
What? Maybe, yeah, your microphone's...
I'll go fix it, don't worry.
You could take the little cap thing off and don't have it pointing away from you. Have it turned so it's pointing up towards your mouth.
Okay.
Okay? Anyways, it's on my screen. All right, so I might start with a Natalia. So this is one of the programs I use a lot from the Sony. So it's a program called Photomechanic. It's not a raw converter or anything like that. It's more an organizing program that I can quickly color rate, star rate, delete, rename, create quick previews, all of that type of thing. So I use this a lot on my Sony. And you'll see that there's colors and stars. Because this was all being pre-rated before, I'm just telling it now to go in order of star rating. And the colors are pretty simple. The greens are the ones that I've picked. The reds are the ones the models picked. The yellows, the ones that the model loved. And because I haven't touched one that the model loves, maybe that's one I should do. So let's start off with that. So the simplicity of this is now I can just grab my, oops, get off there. and just grab that file and drag it straight onto Photoshop, and it will now open it in ACR. Cool. Very, very first thing I do is go up to sharpen and pull the amount to 0. I never, ever, ever sharpen my raws. I won't say never. So if I'm doing still life photography, I might do a little bit of sharpening for product, but on people, never. I'm going to come back into the main screen, and my first go-to thing is normally I just hit auto just to see what stupid thing Adobe's going to do to it. And once I've hit it, then I decide, do I like it more or like it less? And mine was a bit of both. I don't like the extra exposure it's given it, so I'm going to pull that back a little bit, or I'm going to pull it off, get rid of the contrast, get rid of the vibrancy and the saturation. They're things I don't want to play with. The whites are looking fine. The blacks are too black. So I'm going to bring the blacks back to where it was shot. The highlights can most likely come up a tiny bit. My shadows, though, I'm going to crunch this down a little bit later. So I'm bringing the whites and shadows up because I want to have as much detail as I can in my shadow area. And this is just to my eye, what I'm doing. I'm just trying to flatten out, if anything. If I hit P, it'll show you before and after. So yeah, it's come up quite a lot. Maybe my white's gone up a little bit too high. Might bring the whites down a fraction. Oh, sorry, I brought the shadows down. Whites down just a touch. Yeah, that's looking, it's looking about how I want it. So I just double check that down here is saying what I want it to say. So I can double click on it and it'll show it up here. I'm going to come out in Adobe, RGB, 16-bit. It's not going to decide if it's a TIFF or a PSD or that at this stage. All it's going to do is open it in Photoshop. And when I save it out of Photoshop, that's when I'll tell it if it's a JPEG or a TIFF or whatever. But I just want it to be in Adobe, RGB and 16-bit. So that's fine. So when I hit open image, it'll open it with those settings on it in Photoshop. You got questions?
People are saying hello. Dutch said if you are a member of Inspire, you should. It's amazing. Thank you very much.
So no questions? All right, keep working then.
If you guys, everyone's just saying that my sound is low, but I wasn't talking, so I don't know if that's changed now. Let me check.
You check on your sound.
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe we need to turn it up on that thing. Here, all right, so on this, I'm going to quickly build this. I have an action set that I just normally run, and all the action set does is put everything I'm about to do in its place. So I'm just going to build this from scratch. So I'm going to throw in, I need to hide that from there. Sorry. Yeah?
The sound is still really low.
We'll turn it up a bit more. Maybe just talk for a minute.
Talking.
So you're fine here.
Oh, people are saying it's better now.
Is it better? We can turn it up a little bit more. We can't turn it much more. Shit.
Yes, my mic is turned on. I've checked all of that.
Take the little hat thing off. Yeah, you still haven't done it right. Pull it off so I can do it. Okay. No, it doesn't screw. So if we turn this around this way, you want to clip it on the outside, not the inside facing up.
Okay, cool.
Or you can do what we saw the other day.
Oh,
you could just hold it. Pretty. All right, let's get back to work. Very first thing I'm going to do is drop in a layer that I'm going to do my healing and any cloning on, and I just call that heal. These are what will come up when I do an action set. I'm now going to drop into curve layers. Now, I've got up in my windows and my setup, you'll see that I have adjustments clicked. That adjustments gives me this nice little box. So rather than coming down the bottom and clicking and dragging up a menu, it sits them all here, so they're really easy for me to get hold of. So I'm going to drop in two, hopefully. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to drop in 2 curve layers, and on the bottom curve layer, I'm going to pull it up just the midtones, and you'll see that I've just pulled it up about 1/3 of the way, well, it's about 1/4 of the way in that square. I'm going to rename that Dodge. And then I'm going to go to the above layer and do the reverse. I'm going to pull it down by about that exact amount. And I'm going to call that burn. Burn. Oh, well done. And then both layers, by hitting Command I, it'll invert the masks from white to black. So that's giving me a dodge and burn, and that's what I use to actually clean up skin. The next layer I'm going to put above that is my cutting layer. Now what my cutting layer is, because these layers won't, see how they're not affecting blacks or whites, they're only affecting mids. I do need a dodge and burn way of getting to my blacks and whites maybe later on. So that's where I'm going to drop in a layer up here, and I do it this way. So I'll come up into layer, go new layer, because I want to be able to make it a grey layer. So I'm just going to call this cutting.
Yes, Darren, this will be available to watch later after we go live. It gets published.
Yes, you can go to bed.
Peter, what is the software you suggest to use for digital photography?
What, retouching? Or?
They haven't specified.
No, I use Photoshop.
And ACR?
And, well, ACR is part of Photoshop.
Oh, okay.
And I use Photomechanic to do my sorting. I'd never touch Lightroom. I won't go there now. So I've just changed the name to what I want. Once I change my blending mode, it's going to allow me to get to a box. And I want a blending mode of soft light. And you'll see it's brought up this fill soft light with neutral grey. Click that. When I hit OK, the new layer you'll see is a grey layer. And if I turn everything off, you'll see there is a grey layer sitting there. Oops, don't want that up there. Go away. Cancel.
Peter says he wishes you used Capture One.
That's better. Sorry?
Peter says that he wishes you used Capture One.
We're trying. No, we're trying. Now we're in lockdown.
Yeah.
We might do a bit more. I used to use Capture One all the time on my Canon, but we're having nightmares trying to get the Sony to tether to its commercially viable without it disconnecting all the time. We've tried all new cables, we've tried everything. We're still having issues with the Sony. But Beck knows herself. We did get a tether working once and she hated the look. It's just, I find it's too digital for my workflow. That's the reason I don't like it, but I'm still going to work on it. My favorite, no photographer supported, so it got canned, and that was Aperture by Apple. That was an amazing program, but anyway, we're not talking about that now. What?
Mine sounds really echoey.
Are you picking up off
That's
mine?
what people are saying.
Is yours actually working? Oh no, it might. Maybe turn mine down a bit, or maybe you sit a little bit further away. Although you won't be in shot then.
Well, still kind of.
I don't know. Either that or we get our boom mic and sit it there and just run both off the boom mic.
You just keep going.
All right.
Sorry.
Shouldn't be echoey. Is it echoing off this? We don't have, there's no audio coming off that, is there?
No.
You sure?
Yep.
All right. All right, back on. So I've got my cutting layer. That's to get to my blacks and my whites. The next layer I put in, it's a solid fill layer. This is just so if I'm going to do a black and white convert, I can do a check about the luminosity of that. So let's get a solid fill layer, and I want that to be black. So 0, 0. So I've got a solid fill layer set to black. I'm just going to change the blending mode of that to color. And the reason I have this is you'll see when I turn it off, see how the luminosity doesn't change at all. Whereas most other ways of going black and white, it changes your luminosity. This is more like a checking layer for me. The next layer, I need to make sure that my thing's in default, so black and white. I'm going to put in a gradient map layer, not a gradient layer. It's called a gradient map layer. So in the drop down, you'll see it's right down the bottom here. It's not the one that's up here. It's the one that's down the bottom. And you want to make sure, if you just hit D, it'll have foreground as black, background as white. We can fix it later if you didn't do that. If we hit gradient map layer now, you'll see it's dropped in the gradient map from black to white. You can do all the crazy stuff like have it go from one color to another. I won't explain this side right now, but if we just go back from black to white, and this is a helper layer. It's also a really good way of adding contrast. I've used it a few times, turning a picture black and white through this area, but this is a helper layer and you'll see how I use that a little bit later. Then I'm just going to drop one more curves layer above that. And what that curves layer for, again, is a helper layer to help me retouch this image. Cool, so if we were to play my action set, I'll turn that off. That's what would happen straight away. So all those layers would be put in place, and I don't like actions that change the picture because I treat every picture as its own entity. So I don't want an action set that puts a certain color tint or any of that on. I just want an action set that puts all my layers in position so I can start working. All right, the first thing I'm gonna look at is, I just want to see what I need to heal. So I'm just looking at things I need to heal or clone because that's on the bottom base layer. Now I don't like either of these tools. Personally on skin, especially when we blow them up big, I can see them. No matter what happens, I can see. What are you looking for?
Oh, I'm just checking. I'm wondering if my mic is like its batteries are low or.
I don't know. Maybe it's just your head's echoey. Anyway, I'll get back to this. So a couple of things just out of the corner of my eye, I can see just on the side. I'm starting on the outside of the picture. That's just bugging me a little bit, and I'm going to try and just heal it. So being a bokeh, it shouldn't. I've doubled that. Let's maybe bring a little bit of that in there. You got a little friend.
Oh, a little puppy.
Cool. So everything I do to my eye. So both Beck and I have seen people comment and say, why didn't you do that? Well, it didn't worry me. In fact, do I see it now or don't I see it? Let's just turn it on and off. Oh, it's definitely better. Yeah, I can live without that. The cup doesn't bother me. Might bother other. I could remove the cup quite easily, but it doesn't really bother me with it where it's sitting. Yeah, so in the background, I'm happy with everything. Once it's almost like I'll do it in color and black and white, but I know once it goes black and white, it's going to fix some of the problems I'm seeing. So now I'm going to zoom in on the skin, and I start on.
Have you tried Affinity Photo?
No, but I don't know. There was some I might have. There was one that came out, and it was very much like action sets, and click this button, and it does this. I don't want that. I want to be able to build my picture from the start. So, but if it's a really high-end good package that allows me to have all the control over my brushes like this tool, I want to try it. Nothing on the hands is bothering me. I'm coming on the face, and what I'm looking for is anything that's very, very fine, very dark, or very light, like that hair. Like any black dots. They're the things I need to fix now with Healing Tool, and they're about the only things I'm going to fix, because once you've seen the damage that the Healing Tool does on a big print, i.e. if it's on the front of a shop window and you walk up to it and you can see all these little out of focus circles, it's it's really horrible when you realize, oh, that's my picture. Now, all the general public wouldn't see it, but I saw it. So once that happened to me, I treated healing and clone so much different. I don't mind healing in out of focus areas because you can't see it, but anything that's sharp, you will see it. So again, I'm just looking for anything that's really white, really black, or really dark, or really fine. See these little white dots? They're a little bit too fine. There's a little bit of makeup that's gone astray around here. That being that fine little dot, black dot in the center can go, that little black there.
Am I in quarantine with the Coulsons? Basically.
Always. We have a bar over there, so she's always quarantines herself here. Is your sound better?
I'll check that.
You'll check that. So again, there's a little bit of dry skin there, and I could most likely dodge and burn that out. This picture here is not going to be 2 meters high on a window, and it's in a soft area. This picture was, I'm nearly certain, let's double check what it was shot on.
A little better. I moved my pack over there and I am doing a holdy thing. I wonder if they were interfering with each other.
No, that doesn't, no. No, definitely not. It's very trying. Yeah, this was on the Otis 85mm and it was shot at f1.4. So that's giving me that fall off very quickly. So the areas like this are now soft enough that I could heal quite heavily, but I'm not going to. Those couple of hairs don't really bother me. I actually like them. That little white dot in there is bothering me though. Were you going to ask her questions?
Someone thinks that the fingers on her right hand are a bit too red.
I haven't got to color yet. And yeah, so I'm only just doing the healing through the whole picture. You'll see that I have a sequence I work, and color comes after I've done all of my skin cleaning in texture way. Then I go to my color for commercial clients, and for myself, then I go to black and white. There's a little white dot there. So there's very little. I want to keep this looking fairly natural, so I don't want to go too heavy on this. Zoom it back out. Maybe those few dots up in the forehead. What?
Yeah, people just keep saying that my mic's too white, but I'm just trying to fix it, guys. Bear with me.
Turn up your volume more. You did? I told you before you were too soft. Sound levels. Can you talk again? Beck, talk. Talk.
I'm talking. Hello. Talk, talk. Yeah, it's not moving.
Yeah, it's moving. It's low. Oh. I think you might be getting picked up by mine. Is yours actually turned on?
Yeah.
Do that again. Talk.
Check, talk. Hello.
Don't know.
I'm sorry. You retouch, I'll sort it out.
Don't know. It's hearing me fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that matters.
All right, let's go back. We could get our big boom mic there.
Yeah, I'll sort it out.
You'll sort it.
You retouch.
There's no questions. They're just all telling you how bad you sound.
Basically, the hair across the eye, would you leave it there? You said it doesn't really bother you. If it bothered me,
I would remove it. This is the thing I can't push hard enough. It's your photo. I can't retouch to your eyes. When I'm commercially working, I have clients that give me a retouch list, and that's me then retouching to their eye. When I'm retouching my photos or something for myself, it's always going to be for my eye, what bothers me and what doesn't bother me. Hair in face, a lot of the times I like, unless from a distance it looks like some weird shadowing. We've got a little bit of a shadow hair down around this area here on the cheek. And I'll look at that later if it bothers me or not once I get to the finish retouch. That's about the end of my healing, and you'll notice I didn't do any cloning. So that's about as far as I go. I'm now going to get into my actual cleaning of the skin. Now, I don't use frequency separation and will never use it. All you have to do is look at a picture that's been done with it blown up big, and you can see every single bit of lassoing or healing or whichever way you do it. It's fine for the internet, it's fine for a computer, but as soon as you print it big, you can see it from a mile away. So this is how I do my cleanup, is using the dodge and burns with a slight up and down curve. But I use 2 helper layers to help me. What's wrong? That's right, she's walking in circles.
Do you mean the big mic that's plugged into you?
Yeah. Yeah. So that should be on a clamp. You should be able to just unclamp that.
If it's plugged into your computer, it's cool for me to just unplug it?
Yeah. All right. So just looking at this, yeah, so sorry, Beck confused me. What I'm going to do is turn on my gradient map. Now you'll notice, see how it's brought up more, especially in the forehead, it's brought up more imperfections. And then if I go to my top curve layer and bring it down, you'll see how it's starting to blotch the skin. So that's about what I want it to look like when I'm retouching, because I want to be able to see even the stuff that's a little bit not as clear. And the other thing is, once you take it to black and white, you're not distracted by color, so you see things better. With here, I would not always come in and do the body that first, because most people will do the face first, and then they'll do that too far, then I'll come out into the body and do it rough. And what happens then is it makes the whole picture look like it's retouched, because the face is perfect and the rest of the body's not. So I always start on the not the face, and then go to do the face last to make sure that the face isn't over retouched compared to the body. I'll jump onto my dodge. It could be dodge and burn. Make sure I've got a white brush because I want to paint on the black layer, and I'm also going to get my brush tool up and set my flow to 1%, opacity at 100%, flow at 1%. That's about what I normally use. And I'm going to get, there's a little bit of blotching on the arm. Let's do that first. So I'm going to come in just so I can work just on the arm. It's a tiny bit. Now, when I'm doing this, basically I'll do 1 or 2 strokes, and as soon as I can't see it anymore, I move to a new area. You'll see I do 2 strokes, stop, 2, and I'm just waiting for that to disappear. And once it disappears, I can move on to another area. Now, in a color picture, you have to be really careful. If you overdo this, you will change the hue. You'll change the saturation. So too much burning on it. Oh, you got it. Well done. I did hear a crash. It's all right. Beck's trying to fix sounds. No, put it right there. We might have to undo that knob. We should really have a camera on Beck now. This is going to be really, really funny while she's trying to do technical stuff. So her veins are a little bit bluey, stand out. What I might do is just come down and you'll see how it's got that sort of bluey veins. I'm just bringing that back a little bit with a dodge and burn. I'll look at color correcting that later if it bothers me. One of the problems that I have, especially with females, is the circulation isn't great, which means normally toes, legs, end of hands tend to go blues and purples. And as someone said before, her fingertips had gone very red. So
someone asked if I tried turning the mic off and on again. I would, but it makes a horrible scratching noise. So I'm fixing it other ways.
I'm pretty happy with.
I said maybe they missed it, but did you crop early or later?
Never. So I don't crop. Especially, I'll never ever crop a picture till I finished retouching it and saved it as a layer picture, uncropped, unsharpened. But you'll see that. If I'm going to crop, it'll be the very, very last thing I do, and it'll only be for how it's going to be printed or presented to the client, or how it's going to be showed to the world on social media. It's cropping for me is a bit of a bugbear because I look at cropping like a painter. A painter doesn't get a big canvas and paint a big scene and get a pair of scissors out and crop the picture out of it. Well, no painters that I work with, because I shoot a fair bit of dew clay work for painters. Now I'm going to get onto the face, and again I'm just looking at dark and light areas that are making her look a bit blotchy, and there's no rule of where I start and where I finish. I pretty much just, whatever catches my eye, I'll move my brush to that area. I'll do a couple of minutes on this and then I'll turn it on and off so you can see the difference, because I doubt you're seeing anything change on the screen at the moment, because at 1% flow it's so tiny the amount I'm doing with each brush stroke. That's the reason I use 1% flow, is because you just cannot see the photoshopping. A lot of my clients forget what the original picture looked and say, oh, you didn't Photoshop it. And yeah, it's when I point out to them the before and after, they go, oh my God, that still looks like really natural and it doesn't feel Photoshopped. You might want to put it on this one, not that one.
I couldn't.
Why?
It won't clip to the table.
Oh, won't it?
No.
What's the table too fat?
Yeah, and it's too much of a slide.
Right, just lean it forward then. Push on it. There we go. And tilt it up maybe. Drop that in there. It'll be all right. People don't need to see me. Okay. So where are you going to plug that into? Lucky there's another one here. The only thing is that you're most likely going to want to, sorry about this.
Yeah.
It's called lockdown. Plug it in here. It's most likely going to go echoey because we're going to have two different sound sources. But we'll
I need to tell your computer to change the sound source.
Yeah, and then has that got a volume control in this? That's right. Sorry. No, that's a headphone output. Oh. I don't think it has a volume on the mic. Normally it doesn't have that. Or can we take it into... This was plugged straight into my computer, wasn't it? Let's just see what happens. You can come around here and do... In fact, if you do this, plug it in, see if you can see it.
We just want to make the sound better for you guys.
So where do you change your sound source?
To Rode NT USB.
Check 1 2 1 2. Does it give us a volume? No, I might have to. Check, check, check. You talk.
I'm talking. Hello.
Right, let's see. Use echo cancellation. That sounds cool. Let's go into sound preferences. Maybe I can do microphone there. Output. There we go. There's our level. It doesn't actually let me turn it up, does it? Is this loud enough?
Output volume?
Yeah, but I think that's on output. We're not talking about. We're talking about input volume.
It can hear us, but we're just quiet.
We're quiet.
Yeah.
So we can't turn it up in here, can we? No, that's full. I don't want it to be quiet. Is that better? No, it still seems quiet. Can we have two things running at the same time?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, you need to change that to complete. Complete audio. No. Change this to complete audio 6.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I wonder what it sounds like now.
Could be really echoey. Or you use that for new. Does that sound echoey? The complete's a lot louder than the other. Can you hear?
Oh, whoa. It's a lot louder now.
Is that good?
It's a bit echoey.
No, I don't want echoes. So we either, let's forget.
They said it was better before.
Yeah, let's forget about deck.
Sorry, guys.
So how do I minus this one out now?
Change that back to complete audio 6.
So we've got.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. I reckon you just need to go to your pack, which is your one, and turn it up.
Sure.
I think your pack's too low.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll get rid of all this crap and get back to retouching. Yeah, sorry about this. Live stream's a pain in the friggin' butt. And this is the first time that we've tried to do live stream retouching. And so I'm on the computer that the live stream's coming off. And we've got, I don't know if you can see it, but we've got a big deck over there with everything plugged into it. We might just bring the studio mics and sit one at each for us. That might be the way we do it. All right. Or Beck can just talk into her mic. You can just be like that person you showed me. Or I showed you. Anyway, let's get back. Just so you can see, if I turn this on and off now, see on the forehead? See how big a difference that little bit of time was spent on there. So I'm just going to work my way around the picture. And with this session too, the questions don't have to be about retouching. They can be about anything. About.
You said with dodging and burning, if you change the blend mode to luminosity.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, normally I do that. Sorry, that's my bad. Because I normally just run a action, I've forgotten. So I'm just going to select those two, run it to Lumina. It still does change it. Even you're 100% right with what you said, but it still does give a slight graying off highly saturated colors. When you over dodge and when you over burn, it does tend to bring in a sort of reddy orangey color, even using that, or more contrasty type of thing. Thank you for pointing that out, because in my action, yeah, that's one of the things I definitely have is my dodge and burn layer is always on luminosity.
Do these arrows just turn my thing up and down?
Yeah, I think so, but you've got to go into the menu.
Okay.
But you want to do it on the other sure, clipping Nelly here.
Okay.
So you need to turn the other end up.
Sure. I'll go over and do that while I ask a question.
Yeah, one of the bad things about running action chess is start to forget how you originally do. It's nearly like phone numbers. When you have just a quick dial in your phone, you forget. Like I couldn't tell you my wife's phone number now, whereas I used to know it off by heart. So I just hit the button. Were you going to ask a question?
No, I was just reading. People are mostly just saying thank you and commenting on the sound.
How bad you are.
Yeah.
Is it just your super?
Yeah, it's just that I'm really low and everyone thinks my mic isn't turned on.
Look where your mic is.
Because I'm about to get up.
They can't hear you while it's over there. Oh my God.
They're hearing me off your mic for the most part.
Oh my God. Well, we could just put my mic in between us too. But you can't, just turn up a little bit. I'll let her try and sort it out. I'll get back to working. All right, so. Yeah, because we normally run through our big sound mixer. So that's another. You've still got a fair bit of room here.
Oh, I'll just turn it up there then. I'm scared of doing too much on those because I don't want it to make that horrible crack noise.
Yeah, you've still got heaps of room here.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
It was fine when we were testing before.
No, I think you...
Yeah, it was. I heard myself. And...
Keep talking now. No, talk. So
Talk,
we can see.
talk.
Yeah, that's you. You've got plenty of volume.
Okay.
See if that's better. All right, cool. I'll go back to working. Sorry. Wasted first hour on sound. Eek. No. And did that work? Did that work?
I can hear myself. So I hope that you guys can too. Do we prefer coffee or tea? Coffee.
Coffee. Yuck. Sorry, that wasn't about tea. It was about my bad retouching.
I like tea though.
I like a good Japanese or Chinese tea, but it's hard to get really good.
Someone agrees I read the phone numbers from the 80s, but have no idea what anyone's number is nowadays.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's sort of a good thing maybe every now and then to, instead of run your own little action, is actually do it step by step, just to keep reminding you what each thing is actually really doing. Don't want to over retouch this. I'm just, because I've made the skin very blotchy on purpose, just being careful not to over retouch, because I know this is a lot worse than what the color picture is. So I'm going to do color and black and white with this. I'm most likely gone heavier with my retouching than what I would have done for my own picture, only because I can show you more. So I'm just zooming back a little bit. As I came back, it's just showing me more blotching, but they're sort of bigger blotches. So now I'm just trying to just pull back the areas that the blotching is a little bit bigger. Come on, there must be questions. Is everyone gone to sleep?
I don't want to interrupt you.
Oh, well, I'm waiting. Well, I'm just dodging burning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just do. I'm talking louder, and I'm also kind of leaning over so you guys can hear me off Peter's microphone. I'm not too sure what is happening with mine. We keep testing it. So yeah, I'm sorry. Peter, what's your favourite, most important reason for photographing women? I know you also photograph men, but you tend to go towards women. What's your personal reason?
I find it hard getting emotions out of men. I'm an eye photographer. I love shooting amazing eyes. I find it very, very hard for a male to give eyes. I think it's because us men are so complex and complicated. We hide our emotions. That's why we go top ourselves so easily when things are not going right with our lives. That would be the main reason. The odd gay male that I've had a couple of gay males I've shot that have been amazing. So I don't know if they were more feminine, that they brought out that side, but as a rule, and a lot of my commercial work is shooting like anything I've got to do with big corporate companies, and I get a bit of that work because I get expressions, and they say I just make everyone look really natural and real, whereas I don't have that camera face. I really struggle to get enjoyment because with working with females, I can say things and I get instant reactions on their face. I don't tend to get that as much with males. The other thing is, if I take a picture of a female, which we're normally always tethered, and the model or the client sees the picture, they'll go, oh my God, I love this. And they get so excited and they want to run over and take pictures of the screen with their iPhone. With a male, they don't tend to do that. They walk up and go, oh, my eyebrow's crooked. So they're micro looking at every little detail, not looking at the overall whole picture. And that really frustrates me. And it's got no other reason. I got, as a male that I shot many years ago, Rogan, he was so much fun. But he was flamboyant. He really could, you could just say a word and he'd give you an amazing expression to follow it. So I was just doing my dodging and burning on the black.
How much time would you ordinarily spend retouching a photo like this when you're not streaming or talking or getting distracted?
It really depends. There's no set time. Some of my retouches are like 3 minutes. And if this picture was just for me, I wouldn't be going anywhere near to the detail I'm going now, mainly because with this, I'm going to take this back out to color, which I'll just first do my dodge and burn, show you the difference. So you'll see it's just cleaned that up, but still kept her skin really, really natural. We have no sign of Photoshop being done. I do see a couple of things now have come back. If it's for a client has given me a figure to work to, which is basically a monetary figure. They might have said, hey, yeah, you can put $200 of retouching, $100, whatever they've said. Or it might have been built into the price of the package we were working with. We might have said the images would be retouched to magazine quality. That's within the price, and it might have had, the deal might have been, well, we did one recently, and it was 5 images to magazine quality, and we will retouch whatever it takes, because I've got to supply that sort of quality. Whereas other clients will say it'll only be retouched to a global type of standard, which means if there's a crease in the dress, you should have steamed it out. And if you want me to retouch that crease out, you'll be paying an hourly rate for that. And that's when they'll come in and say, hey, we'll allow you, $100, $200, or whatever they say for retouching within the price. With my own work, I really like not retouching. It makes me really, really happy when I can do an image and basically 2-3 minutes it's done. I might move a hair, like tiny little nothing things. But the models don't tend to like that, especially the little puppy sitting next to me.
Plastic Fantastic.
She loves her Plastic Fantastic. So I don't take her to Plastic Fantastic because I don't like it, but I'll take it heavier than what I would tend to go.
Nicholas is living in a conservative community and loves photographing women the way that you do. How can he post and find clients without people judging him?
Hard. There is a group of people out there that attack me because I shoot women, and they see, I don't know how this started, but I think it started from America. I heard Helmut Newton say the same thing many years ago, that nudity to Americans means sex, whereas nudity to a European means human body. And I think that's the difference, is that I don't see skin as meaning sex. I just see skin as that's what every one of us has got bare skin. So the other thing is I shoot women for women. I don't shoot women for men, but because the women look so beautiful, men still like it. I really do not like that men magazine-y look at all. So it's just not the look that I like, so I don't do it. So I'm normally trying to push the female to give me strength. Well, Beck knows, she sees it all the time, eyes, come on, give me an expression in the eyes. And we quite often say, during the modeling, I might say, pretend you're butt naked. Now I need eyes strong enough so whatever the viewer's looking, the viewer can only look at your eyes. They can't look at any other part of your body. And that gets a sort of a feeling in there. And I do get a fair bit of feedback from women that say they love my pictures. And even Beck's seen on a couple of shoots, we've had models actually say they'd never ever do nude, but they would with me. But they don't realise that 90% of my work, the models aren't nude because I need an amazing face. And if they're standing there worried because I might see something, I'm not going to get a good face.
A question, the online tutorials, do they have a learning path? Does that mean?
We haven't set it up like a course. Oops, don't do that. Thank you. It's not set up at all as a course. Would I do something?
Your series. Oh no!
What are you doing?
Your series gone. No, your series gone.
Oh. Why are you turning my Siri on?
You turned it on.
I didn't turn it on. What are you doing with my picture? Get your fingers off my stuff. What was the question?
Is there a learning path on Inspire?
No, we don't do like, I think Sue Bryce runs a sort of like a workshop series. There is a learning path in a way of, say, with the Photoshop, if you start at the start, we go through every single tool that I use and explain what it does and how it does it.
And in
lighting, there is a starting thing for lighting. Yeah. But most of the stuff, every now and then we'll add a new learning curve, like we just did the exposuring thing, and we've got a focus one coming up. But no, it's a bit of a jump around like live shoots or stuff that we do just to show techniques, and a lot of the stuff is more what I do, and while Beck and I are in isolation, we're going to do a few shoots of stuff I don't do, but commercially I do. But personally, it's not my look. But on we had a shoot the other day and I had to use gels, and I'm not really into gels at all, but that's what the client wanted. Yeah. So there's clients that want outdoor shot with strobe lighting. I really don't like that look, but Beck and I are going to do one in my backyard. But I'm going to try and hide the strobe so you can't even tell it was lit with strobes. I want to set it up so it just looks like it was lit with natural light.
Can we listen to Strobe by Deadmau5 when we do that?
Where's the button to turn your mic off? Oh my God. See what I've got to live with? Can you get what?
Can you get the same look from Lightroom that you do from the Hasselblad software?
No. I can get close, not from Lightroom, from ACR. I don't use Lightroom at all. There is a difference. I'm not going to go into it, but there is a big difference. When you put a picture in the Lightroom, it changes. When you put it into ACR, it doesn't change. I want the one that didn't change. If I get through to my retouches, I need to what we do. I might do a Hasselblad picture later, a raw later through Lightroom and show I can still do haloing in that. And I'll add a bit of a halo in this picture as well.
Does red hair present a special challenge with black and white conversion?
No, it actually makes it easy because I can pick a color channel to make it darker or lighter. I love red hair. In fact, Jess. Yeah, Jess, red hair Jess and Natasha, red hair. I never had a problem with either of them. I absolutely love. Normally red hair gives freckles, and I love freckles. So red hair then makes that freckly skin. I adore that look. All right, so if I turn that on and off, you can think about your question. So you'll see that's on and off. Now, if I take my helper layers on, and there's my on and off, you'll see it's just cleaned up the face, but I'm going to do a tiny bit more now, just a little bit, but that's given me a much nicer look within the face. Look at her incredible eyes. Look at the colors in there. Anyway.
She was so pretty.
She was pretty.
Have you used the Fuji medium format system?
Nope. Not that I've got anything against it, but how do you just use it? I'm going to go in and buy it or hire it.
Yeah.
There's half a day or a day gone driving into somewhere that I can hire it from. I'm certain it's amazing, but I have never used it. If someone from Fuji wants to bring one out and let me have a play with it, I'm happy to have a play with it. So I'm not sure what the future of Hasselblad's going to be. I just don't know where they're going with the camera. So yeah, my eyes are open. I still love the medium format. Like my Sony, but I love the medium format. Just before she asks the next question, now that I've gone into color, I can now see there's a couple things that didn't show up in black and white that stand out a little bit more in color. Off you go.
You probably just get more clients in general that are female. Yeah?
Oh yeah, well, Beck sees the emails. How many emails do we get off males?
Not many.
The other thing is, especially with modeling, a female will tend to want to just have beautiful pictures of herself, whereas a male, their day off, they don't want to go and do a photo shoot. They're not getting paid for it. So even from that side, there's a couple of Dave model I used to shoot with. He was a little bit different. He wasn't. Oh no, he still did the eyebrow thing, but Dave once or twice needed a portfolio update. But most males tend to just use their commercial work because they're really only modeling for the money. They're not really modeling for the pictures. Cool.
Is there a way in ACR to use the green, red, and blue channels like you do in Focus?
Nope. No. So if I'm going to, and I'll get into that in a second, but if I'm going to use the red, green, and blue channels, I will do them in Photoshop, and I'll show you that in a minute. So now it comes, this is why I hate color. If I was going to do this as a color, I've got lots of lassoing, but I'm just finding the yellow in the background is really, really distracting. So this, even when we're shooting this was never going to be a color picture because of the yellow. I would just be lassoing areas that are annoying me with color and then color correcting them out. In fact, let's maybe just do her fingers if it works, and then we'll forget about color and go into the black and white.
How did you start to earn money on portrait photography?
When I made the transition from shooting...
Whoa, wait on.
Whoa. What? Oh, your camera's gone off. Oh, well done. When I made the transition from shooting for a magazine with lifestyle and fishing, I pretty much did weddings, parties, anything. I had no set, anything to make money, because I pretty much had gone, if you see, I'm just lassoing these. Is that the plus? No, that's a minus. That's the plus. I'm just lassoing her fingers a bit roughly. I can fix this up later. I just want to do a color correction just to give you an idea how fussy I can be with my color correction. There's a bit of a feather on the lasso. I'm going to do some other stuff as well. If I just jump into...
What? We've gone again.
What have you done?
I just replaced the battery and it was on. I could see it.
You could see it. It's not on here. Anyway, let Beck run around like a... Did you put a charge battery in there?
It was facing charge.
No, that's a flat one.
Oh, well, it should be facing upside down.
Oh, I put the 3 charge batteries for you, and that was the battery you had. That's right. Don't get me started. All right, so I'm just going to go back. There's 2 different ways. Maybe I'll do what I call a simpler way. So while I've got that selected,
Dead as well.
that one's dead as well.
Yeah.
Well, those were the batteries you had. You had 2 sitting there. This one here, that's the one I just charged. You can pull the one out of the other camera. Come on, stop stressing. Couldn't you? Ah.
I could have.
And the other batteries out there should be charged for you too, or one of them should be.
I'll go sort that out. Oh, you
But plug that in. All right. Yeah, let's get back to this. So I've done a lasso on those 3 fingers. So when I hit the curve level, it's now giving me the curves. And you'll see a mask, and that mask has those 3 lassos on there. If we just zoom in onto those fingers a little bit, so you can see what's going to happen. And I come to the red, green, blue channels. So let's go to red channel first, and I want to pull some red out. So I'm going to put this right dead center. So I've put a dot right in the center. And just with my up and down arrows, I am going to go down and pull some red out of it. If I go down too far, you'll see it go, see it's going blue, but see how that's pulled a fair bit of the red out? So I'm going to come up, so that's pulled a little bit of the red out. About there's pulled some red out. I'm going to quickly jump onto the blue channel because it's put a little bit of blue in there. So again, dead center, and it's mainly because where most of our skin tones are sitting in our mids. Well, they should be if we've exposed properly. So I'm going to pull the blue down. If I pull it too far, see how the yellow comes in there? So I'm just going to take it back up, and that's pulled the blue out and put a little bit of yellow into there. That has sort of, if I turn that layer on and off, you'll see there's quite a bit of difference. It has taken the luminosity out of there because I've done 2 down curves, which is going to pull the luminosity off that curving. What I could do is then put another layer above that and then have it tie itself to this. So it's called a, if I just drop in, I'll drop it in a levels layer. And on the levels layer, if I tell it to clip, so make it a clipping mask, so it clips to the layer below and doesn't affect any other part of the layers, I can come in here and then adjust my luminosity to put that luminosity back in that I pulled off. And that's sort of fixing up that color a bit. I might just bring the luminosity of that, the opacity of that layer down a touch. So that's on and off. You'll see it's pulled a fair bit of that strong color off, but I really don't like working in color because then I've got to worry about all this rubbish. And I think the only one other thing I'll quickly talk, and I've got to do some sort of bigger work on this, or more work on this to show you guys, is now with LUTs and cinema grading and things like that, it's just got so much, it's opened up a whole new area. And a LUT is nearly like an action set where it puts a filter or a tone on it, but you can make a LUT. So if I play around with the coloring and toning of this, I could save it as a lookup table, a LUT. Or I can come in here, throw a color lookup table layer. Then,
this is good. Now I get to learn how to make
LUTs. Oh no. All right, so there's some preloaded LUTs in here, and to give you an idea, if we just go to, crisp winter, then in the fall colors, there we go, kaboom. Oh, she likes that. So see how that LUT has just put that beautiful, warm softness onto her. And still kept the color balance because her eyes haven't gone yellow, because that's how the LUT's been created. And then I can just bring the opacity back on that till it's more where I'm liking. Then I could drop in a secondary LUT over the top of that. Let's come in. In fact, what I could do is I could even go to LUTs that I've created. So if I come into, oh, did it say load other? No, load. There we go. Oh, it's not on this folder. It's on my other computer. I don't think I've got on here. Anyway, you're going to ask a question.
I was.
Cancel. I'm just going to, yeah.
When doing test shoots, do you use model releases?
No. Don't need to. It's not commercial.
Yeah.
So it's an agreement between the two of us. It's not a commercial. Once it becomes a commercial, then we have to set up a payment, and we can base that based on how it's gone commercial. If it's just going into a magazine, most models love to get into a magazine, and magazines don't pay anymore, friggin' scumbags. So that's easy. The old days when they did pay, I just did 50-50 with the model. So I'd just say, hey, this magazine wants to use this is how much they're paying me, you happy to go 50-50. They would then give me a sign out that I could supply to the agency just before you talk. I'm just going to use a teal orange LUT now. And you'll see that's really put a massive change on it. But I can do a few different things. So I could actually say, I only want to see the opacity, the luminosity of that LUT. See how it's put a contrast into that picture? If I just go to color, it's going to not put the contrast and just put the color, that washed out sort of color. So that you can play with your LUTs. They don't have to be just your normal coloring. And then I can still feather that right back and just bring in a little bit of that to add the spice that I might want to add into that picture like that.
Except for commercial work, is Photoshop really necessary?
No. I've got lots of photos that never went into Photoshop. It's only necessary. No, it's actually not necessary. If you're happy with what you're shooting and you like that straight out of camera look, which I actually really like and trying to do more and more of it, it's not necessary at all. It's the only time it might be handy is if you're resizing stuff for the web and you want to do little things like that. But you can do all of that stuff in Lightroom or one of those programs anyway. Yeah, no, it's not necessary. It's just a tool that you can use if you need it, I think. Anyway.
I said you can't make all people happy all the time.
No, never.
Nope.
But we don't want to, because then everybody would be wearing exactly the same clothes. Everyone listen to the same music. Yeah. And yeah, it'd be boring as it'd be like those sci-fi movies, and that's where we're going though. If you have a look really carefully at all the sci-fi movies, everyone's wearing the same clothes. Yeah. Everyone looks unhappy. No one's inappropriate with comments. Everyone eats the same foods. They're all in packets and just put. Anyway, cool. More questions?
People are saying thank you. And Nicholas, you asked about the conservative communities and taking photos of women. Said thank you for responding, and he guesses he can only progress in women photography if he moves to another place which the community can accept.
No, I don't. I disagree. You need to maybe all right, if you're in a community that looks at nudity in that way that nude means sex, yeah, all right, so don't have nudity in your pictures, but don't try and get away from clothing that attracts the eyes. Come back to expressions, because look, I shoot Muslim women, I shoot Indian, I shoot women from all over the world. Yeah, there's a way to shoot women, and you can still make women look beautiful. They don't have to be wearing a sheer top to look beautiful. In fact, this picture here, if we crop this picture so the sheer part of it didn't really apply, see, that is still a really pretty picture. So it's really, you could work within the area that you live. So yeah, find a way to make it work, I'd say, because...
You're sorry for when I disappeared before, guys. The battery died and I had to refresh it, but we're all good. We're back on it. Yes, Peter does use Wacom.
Yeah, I'm using a little mini one. You can put it in there.
I'll put it in the description as always.
So now I'm going to do black and white. So you can ask a question. Let's quickly. So if I just use, oops, wrong one. I'll leave my lookup tables off with my black and white color fill layer. So if I just do that, you'll see that the luminosity is not changing. But if I come above that and we just go into, let's go into channel mixer, because that's how you do your red, green, blue channel. So we have a channel mixer. If we go up to presets, you'll see that you have your blue filter, green filter, orange filter, red filter, yellow filter. So you actually get more. I tend to use red, green, or blue. If I go to my green filter, but what's going to happen is you're going to see, if I turn on my color layer below, see how the luminosity was changed? Her lips got darker. Her hands are darker. So so it lets me check that the colors that should be going darker or going lighter are doing it. So that's why I have this, so I can just check which way I want to go with it. And I can just play around with any of those channels. Let's go orange channel. Yeah, because the background wall, you'll see that so the orange channels actually worked really nice on that picture. In fact, it's worked great on that picture. And I might use 2 or 3 different ways of going black and white. So if I just turn both of those off and come up here and then go into the black and white one they supply here, these work different. So as you move this up, it makes red lighter and makes red darker. With Channel Mixer, what happens when you move your slider, it makes red will go lighter but green will go darker at the same time. I'm going to just fluff around with this and see if I can get a picture, and Beck can ask. Away.
Vincent asked even for a t-shirt. I'm not too sure what we were talking about when you asked that, so if you want to elaborate, we can answer that. Late in Germany, good night to those in Europe. Sorry, we did target one at Europe last week, so this week we're targeting at America, but we'll keep doing these and change the times that we're doing them so it's a suitable time for everyone.
And you always can come back and watch in the morning, and you can put a question in the comments and we'll answer it.
Exactly. A makeup artist is key. Do you agree?
No. If anything, I try not to have makeup artists. We did shoot the other day, and a lovely makeup artist worked with her for a long time. The model was great, but the model didn't look like the model I like.
Yeah.
And it's just, a lot of the time, even Beck, you prefer to do your own makeup?
I hate having makeup artists do my makeup.
They tend to change people's faces and that. So yeah, it's weird.
Peter is welcome to rant a bit about how to work with female models and be respectful of them as people, not objects.
Well, they're not objects. Even though some people see when we're working in the studio, like we got a lot of crap about the Rara one. Yeah, Rara and I are like, great. We've been shooting together for 7 years. We're mates. I don't need to say to her, can you please move over there? Thank you very much. That's just, if I said that to her, she'd throw something at me. And I can be super abrupt, inappropriate, and say, oh, that's ugly, because she won't get offended. She'd rather me tell her that than shoot her and not have pretty pictures.
Oh, it's like even when you point out to a model, I know that you've got like that blemish on your face, but it's 2 clicks in Photoshop. Yeah,
don't worry about that cyclops on your forehead. Yeah. I'll remove it now that you know that I've seen your cyclops and I've told you you're not going to care about it anymore. There's lots of things. I don't know how many times a model have said, oh, I didn't shave my legs or something like that. And they're a bit embarrassed about it. No, if it's a problem, right, we'll send you down to the butcher and get it cut off. We try and keep our place as fun as possible.
Yeah.
Joke, muck around. I respect women more than most women respect women, and Beck would have heard me lecture and lecture and lecture women about don't do that, stop doing that. Yeah. That is, and sexy for men, that's a dead end. Don't ever go there. As soon as you start pushing your bum back and your boobs out, sorry, that women are not going to like looking at that. And because at the end of the day, most of my photos are for women, like women magazines, or if we're doing fashion, it's only for women. Men aren't buying fashion magazines or fashion catalogs. So I need to have women like my photos. And even with the picture we've got on the screen right now, can you see that that's not for men? That's she's got this beautiful strength. And her eyes is not what she's wearing. But yeah, I do try as hard as I can to get through to everybody and every woman that walks into my studio that, yeah, I have nothing but respect, but I want to get that respect in the photo as well. There's a rant. I'm actually I'm actually liking what I've done in here. So why I'm doing this is because I can now look at my different ways that I've gone black and white. So there's my channel mixer. See, look at the difference in the wall. So that wall's quite light, but now I've darkened it, made it a little bit moody. Her lips have gone darker in, sorry, let's click up to that one, take that one off. So the lips have gone lighter in there, but the wall's gone darker. And I can just then decide which I like, or I can just look at my neutral one again. No, I'm not liking the neutral as much. It's looking a bit weird now that I've done that. So if I go there. Now the one other one is I turn all of them off and just use the gradient map. See how beautiful strength. In fact, that's looking really nice with the gradient map on there. Now, so I say.
I'm joking, it looks really nice.
If I now turn on my color fill, see how it's doing nothing because the gradient map does not change your luminosity. It's just added this nice contrast into it. So for this picture here, to me, that's really contrast and punched her up. Lovely.
Vincent meant with model releases, like so contracts with t-shirts.
Oh, with t-shirts. With the t-shirts, we pretty much do them at cost. It doesn't really make money because it was never done to make money.
It was just that people kept asking.
People kept asking. So if we were to send them off to a company who did it and make money out of it, 100%, the profit margin would be split up between the model and myself. But at the moment, Beck knows the figures. We're pretty much doing them at cost because we're running them as as we get an order, we send that off to the printer. They print off just that order, package it up, post it. And unfortunately, postage is horrendous.
Would you consider a video of a studio shoot on film? I'm very interested to see what approach you would take and the differences to your normal method.
I could, but it's going to be boring because you're not going to be able to see the photos because they're on the film.
Yeah.
So they're just going to see me clicking. They're not going to see what it actually looks like. I've got film cameras back scene we quite often pull out. And we can't see if I went into my office there's a big film scanner sitting in there, big flatbeds, a big drum scanner. It'd be, the only difference would be I don't take anywhere near as many pictures. Like I'm very, very picky about when I click. And models aren't used to that now, so it tends to be hard. I'm not getting the expressions I want because they're so used to this click, getting them into this flow, and then I'll get that killer picture. But when you just try and say, so I don't want to waste a click, it's basically not clicking at all and getting them into that flow. And a lot of them models I work with a lot can do it, but models that don't do it very often really struggle to get this beautiful natural flow if there's not a continual clicking. But I think it'd be boring because I just light it with a light meter and that's a couple of clicks lit. You've got no idea what the picture's going to look like because you can't see what those flashlights are doing. Now I could do a Polaroid like we used to, because I still got Polaroid backs, even though that is $30 a frame now. $30 each Polaroids, especially the one I used to use.
Vincent said, something that I think you'll definitely agree with, when the photo becomes about the makeup artist most of the time when you work with a makeup artist.
It does. And same with the hairdresser.
And a stylist.
And a stylist.
It's no longer about the photography, it's about them.
And that is so, and think about it carefully, it might be cool to have, hair, makeup, all of those things, but a lot of this picture we're working on now, she did her own makeup. And a lot of the shoots we do these days, because we find that they're more natural, they don't go as heavy, they're not changing their face, they're not over contouring, they're not putting stupid lips on or glitter or feathers.
And I feel they're normally a little bit more confident, because sometimes a makeup artist will do makeup in maybe a way they don't like, but they're too shy to say something, so they just wear it, but they don't actually like it, so then the photos come across as uncomfortable.
No, many times we've had models, Shani, were you on that shoot? There's a few where they've literally couldn't work with it. They just hated their look. And I think once or twice we shuffled a makeup artist home. Yeah, we're all done. Don't waste your time here. The second the makeup artist left, the model took it off and redid it herself. So, look, that side of things is very hard. And the other thing that's, if some of the makeup artists, they take a fair bit of time, they might have them for hair and makeup in a chair for 2 hours to 3 hours. The model comes out of the chair tired.
Yeah.
She's been talking and trying to entertain or whatever with the crew, and by the time they get in the studio, they're slightly drained. They're not nice and fresh. Where we try and get them fresh. All right, you keep talking. I keep clicking.
Do you have partners in Tokyo?
No.
Tokyo would be so cool though.
I'd love to go to Tokyo. I can't speak Tokyo-ian though.
Go Japanese.
I'm doing your what was it? Canadian or whatever. Yeah, I'd love to go to Tokyo, but I think there's not as many people that speak English.
I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't know.
Never been asked. Been asked to China and all of those, but not Tokyo.
If you don't have a makeup artist, how does the female subject make themselves so beautiful as it is? Us females
do this every day.
Yeah, we're pretty, and thankfully there's YouTube. I know a lot of girls sit there and in their spare time watch makeup tutorials on YouTube. We're all pretty much know how to do our own makeup.
If you feel that there is some models out there that can't do their own makeup.
Yes.
Get a makeup artist in, but just say natural. Say, I don't want heavy this, I don't want this. Just make it as natural as possible. All right. Well, you can keep.
I'll just check them.
You're just checking.
They can hear me.
All right. I've got the black and white toning. I'm happy with that gradient map. Except I've used my original and what I might do is that gradient map, well, that's the black and white layer and gradient map layer. I'm going to just bring the opacity down on that a little bit because to me it's added too much contrast. So I'm just going to use the gradient map to add the contrast. So I've pretty much just used my color fill to turn this picture black and white. We're going to ask a question.
Did you know that in ACR, if you go to the color profile drop down, you are able to separate red, green and blue?
Yeah.
Which they found after watching your black and white tutorials.
Yeah. Yeah. On my Hasselblad, I normally do all my black and white in Hasselblad software. On my Sony, maybe the next picture that I retouch, I will show you, I'll just do it black and white as if it's going to be a black and white. And I've started to do my black and white in ACR, not Photoshop. Right?
It's getting a bit bright behind us. I'm going to change.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm just going to change the settings.
I'm going to change the settings. So that's going to make us darker though. You sure? Yeah. Well, the light behind us isn't hitting our face, is it? No.
It's overexposing on your hair.
All right, so you can change your settings. While she's playing with cameras, what I'm going to do now is do what I call my toning. And this is how I would put a haloing effect or a clarity type of effect into a picture that wasn't on the Hasselblad. So if I grab this curve layer now, and I'm going to use this as getting my picture, and it might take me 3 or 4 layers of tone. So I'm looking at the background. I'm not so much looking at the model. I'm only looking at where I want the background, and I'm thinking about there. So I'm just going to drop that there, swap my brush from white to black because I'm going to paint at 1% flow and re-sculpt this. And this might take me 2 or 3 layers. But while I just paint away on this, Beck can then ask crazy questions.
Someone said they like having a hair person, can save so much time in post, which is, it's handy that I've done a hairstyling course so I can be that hair person.
That person.
Yeah, which is, yeah, I agree, it is handy.
But I like messy hair.
Yeah, so that's why my job's normally pretty easy. My hairstyling consists of going to make it messy. Okay.
Look, it's the other thing you got to remember, I have my style, I do like to have a very natural feel in my pictures. That's why I like the women wearing like what we call boyfriend clothes. Just clothes that don't attract your attention and are just grungy. So you're basically looking at the model and looking at trying to get them to look at her face, because that's, to me, what I'm trying to sell. So if we're doing test shoots with models, they want a picture to go in their folio that they can use to get more work. Pictures of their body. Once I do this, I say this with models all the time. If we put a bag on your head and stripped you naked and put a picture, put it on the internet, nobody knows who you are. So your body's worth zilch, worth absolutely nothing. Whereas if we put a bag on your body and took a picture, everybody knows who you are. They can see your face. So I'm trying to make faces.
There seems to be a very posterized edge on the wall in some channel settings. Is that just YouTube?
Posterized on some channel settings. Are they talking about?
Might just be a YouTube thing.
Or, yeah, just, can you elaborate? Are you saying when you use it, you're seeing a posterized in channel settings, or are you seeing it on what I'm doing now? If it is, it's not looking posterizing on my screen here now. So it could be YouTubing rhythms, algas.
Do you print proofs? Do you print with color calibrations for your printer and paper stock?
All right, I don't do lots of printing because in this day and age, not many of my clients need a print. It's all digital. So it's going to be a full window in a hairdressing salon. I'm not printing that. That's going to go off to a commercial printer. I do what commercial work is fully color calibrated the whole way through. So we use color cards. My ISOs out in my office, they're auto calibrating. They calibrate all the time. My printer, I have Les Walkling. Anyone in Australia does the best profiles for printing and for my papers. So Les will do that. So all my papers and printer is all profiled up as well. Saying that, 90% of the stuff I print for myself is black and white. But it still needs to be profiled for that to work well.
Do you use the Greycol 7 standard or Pro Photo RGB?
Pro Photo? No, I've never used Pro Photo Color Gamut. Okay. Is that what they're talking about? No. I'm not sure. With the printer, like I said, Les Walking has set all of that up, and I just load in his profile and run it off his profile for that paper.
Someone said they love your studio flats and moving around the subject in the same lighting for various looks.
Yeah, so it's one thing I love working in the studio. We can do so much just by wheeling wall in behind someone or moving it back and forward to change how strong the background is going to be.
Models talk among themselves. They feel having a great reputation among models is one of the most valuable things a photographer can have. Do you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, we hear Photographers don't realize how much models talk when they're unhappy. So your job is to make them happy. So yeah, look, I know I've upset a couple of models, but it's about things, and Beck knows about it too. It's models that are being not professional. They're wanting stuff that's not what a professional model would want. 500 edited images. Yeah. We only shot 400 pictures. I want the whole lot edited and things like that. Just we get a little bit of that, and we get people that change their mind about the picture they loved, and all of a sudden, oh no, I hate that picture, delete it. So there's a little bit of that, and the only upsets I've had is a couple of those type of things. In the studio itself, if you're sleazy, your name's going to go around like wildfire really quick. The models are so quick to tell the world or tell other models
that they had a bad
shoot with that photographer, and he kept on trying to look down my top or get me on all fours wearing lingerie. Bad luck. Agreeing to shoot with a model who only shoots for money, and then when it comes to paying, you didn't reinforce that you only shoot for money, even though I told you told me the very first question, this is how much I charge. Yeah, things like that just don't go down well at all, because that goes like wildfire through the models. There's also a site, what's the site called?
Shit Model Management.
Shit Model Management. It's a site on Insta or something. They have a shit list on sleazy, dodgy photographers, and yeah, you don't want to have your name put on there because it can never get taken off. It's not, a model can't just crack the shits with a photographer to get their name put on there. It's more than that. And yeah, there's a few photographers that have tried to sue, but they can't find who to sue because they've kept it really, really hidden. And we see the list. We've got the list ourselves, and the models share that list. I think a couple of models we work with shared it on Insta as well, to make, to warn models about these people. With our Harvey Weinsteins and that in the world, that day should never have happened, but that's gone. But yeah, it does go. We hear it. We hear every complaint, don't we? So it's best just, and would you say most of the complaints is sleazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, to just realize that they can see where you're looking.
Yeah.
They noticed you just looked at their cleavage, or they can see what you're up to.
I don't think I realised how obvious, like, the puppies.
How puppies.
How obvious it is when guys, like, glance down at the chest area. It's very obvious.
It's so obvious.
So obvious.
On some workshops, I actually see it. It's sort of like, get your eyes out there. The model just saw that.
Yeah, it's very obvious.
Anyway, but yeah, it's a respect. I don't want people looking at my cleavage. But yeah, it's that mutual respect. There's lots of little things that, and it's not things I've had to train myself. It's just who I am. If we're shooting away and the model might be a new model I haven't worked with before or whatever, and she's wearing a top and maybe her nipple fell out a little bit, or that, because I'm not looking there, I don't always see it. So I pre-warn.
You're looking at their eyes.
So I pre-warn if this top is going to be a little bit that way, either put tape on, or sorry if I get a picture, but it's because I don't actually, that's not where I'm looking. But if I do notice it, the very first thing I do is put my hand out and go, and turn my head away and go, watch it. I never go, your nipple fell out, and point at it. So yeah, it's just who I am. If I will always turn around and say, hey, be careful. So, and the models will pick up on that.
Yeah, they do. How often are you trying to tell a story, and whose story?
No, it's always the model story. Although I might say I want it stronger, more powerful. Yep. I might say I want it a little bit more doughy, a little bit more pretty sad. So I might drop that, but they will still tell the story in their own head that makes them feel the way they need to feel.
Dough is in like a deer, not like bread.
Yeah, not like bread. I normally the look in the eyes I'm after is what I call the Homer Simpson dull. Beck does it all the time. So while I'm doing that, I'm just doing my layer thing, and once this, you'll see how each of these layers are now, and see there's sort of like a halo starting to appear, but you can't see edges. And what I'm trying to do is pop her out. See how that's instantly popped her out? Instantly. Let's do one more. Keep going.
Do you enjoy more, educating others about photography or just shooting?
They're about equal, especially on workshops. I really, really, really enjoy light bulb moments, or people that have struggled and struggled and struggled, and all of a sudden something they've never understood, or they've never been able to get that look, all of a sudden they get it now. And that whole excitement, can't wait till tomorrow so I can do it myself. Those things, they're I really like stuff like that. But me creating a image as a story using photography as a tool that I can paint with to create that would be my favorite of all. Just shooting pretty girls is actually not my favorite thing. In fact, Pretty Girl Next Door, well, Beck knows how many times I think, oh, no, she'll show me a picture and this girl's contact, and I'm like, oh, Pretty Girl Next Door.
Or even I'll find them on Instagram and be like, hey, look how pretty she is. We should do like organize a shoot. She's just pretty, like.
Yeah, I need more than just pretty. I need something. That's like Natalia, who I'm working on here. We only shot her for like an hour and a half, I think.
2 hours maybe.
This was in Milan. She was a Russian model. She was Russian, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we connected really, really quick. She was super comfortable. And someone like her was an absolute joy to work with. Mm. But then we had that other very pretty girl. I'm not going to mention her name. Extremely pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But I really didn't enjoy it because it was just this one same old pretty face, whereas Natalia gave me all these different eyes and expressions.
Dave said sometimes he catches himself obsessing over little things like that piece of hair to the left of her arms. Is that something you would normally bother removing?
If it annoyed me, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got my own little neck creases annoy me.
Fine, that's so random, but now they bother me as well.
Yeah, so, yeah, look, anything that annoys you, that's what makes it your photo. That's why it looks different, it should look different to my photo, is because it should be to your eye and I'm going to do to my eye. This is...
puppies.
Little puppies, yeah.
How are we in America? We're not in America, we're in Australia.
And we're good. Australia's like we've got some pretty heavy restrictions on at the moment. Oops, I've got just got.
This is Chanel.
Chanel. We have, and there's Coco. So we have a Coco and a Chanel. Yeah, sorry. Get down again. Yeah, look, the whole world's not good at the moment. It's a bit scary, but I think most of the stuff that I'm seeing is showing signs that we're all going to come out of it, but the world's going to be a different place a bit. It's annoying for us because we were going to be in Europe in 2 or 3 weeks or something. Yeah, so we always look forward to but then after we've been doing it for after a month, we go, I want to go home.
Sick of you 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Beck and I have had to change things a lot. And even myself, I'm one of these people that I've got a 20-minute rule. If I drop a bit of food on the ground, I'll pick it up and eat it. But with this come about, it's just made me think. And now even going shopping, I tend to now wash my hands straight after going into a shop. But they can't hear that you left your mic here. Anyway, so if I now turn off these 3 layers, you'll see how, and I call this toning. This is what I call toning. It's me playing with just dodging and burn. It's like a dodge and burn because it's just using curves, and I'm only moving around mid-tones. And this picture, it's taken me way too long, but this picture's about at the area that I would say is pretty close to finish. There's a couple of tiny little things I want to do. What are you doing?
Hand sanitizer. You want some?
No. You've already caught every disease in this house.
There we go. I feel better.
Oh my God. All right. So before she asks me a question, I'm going to finish this picture off. I'm happy how that's sitting. I'm not going to do much more to it. Yeah, I'm happy to put this out commercially, and I'd also be happy to do it myself. I will go and do it before and after. You'll see a lot of change. And you can see how bad color looks and how good black and white looks. That's why I shoot black and white. So my next stage to this, I will just save this. So I'm just going to save as and it will just drop into her folder, in her process folder. I like to save in TIFFs because if a client doesn't have any Photoshop, a PSD or a Photoshop file won't show, the thumbnail won't show up on their computer. So I'm just going to save a 16-bit TIFF, and I hope everyone noticed. Save and save. I did not crop. I've got all my layers, and I did not sharpen. So that's what all my work is. The TIFF layered photo is never cropped, never sharpened. If I'm going to do a sharpen or anything, I will do that based on how it's going to use. I never want the picture to be sharper, how it's going to be used, than what I can see on the screen. Cool. Questions, and I might close this and start on a new one.
They must sit 1.5 meters away from each other, where we are like within social distancing, so we're all good. Nicholas says your brush setting smoothing effect is at 20%. What effect does the smoothing have on the brush?
Don't know.
You don't know?
Don't know. I think that might be default. I don't. While I'm working at 1% flow, I don't think there's going to be any effects by that. But I Google it. Or find some. That's what I would do. I can't ever remember changing it. If it's been changed, I don't know how or where. Smoothing is for stroke. Use a higher value to reduce streaks. Well, I'm using, yeah. So it's stopping you getting streaks if you're maybe in a really fine. The other thing is with my Wacom, I'm pressure sensitive. So even though you see the size, if I only touch really lightly, I only get a really fine brush. All right, so that's...
Do you think digital was an improvement in photography or a detriment?
Both. I love film grain. I love the feel of the film and all of that, but commercially, now it's really not viable. And even when the transition was happening, was when I was working for the magazine in lifestyle, I was shooting originally just film, and as digital came out, I kept on grabbing a camera, and the editor kept on saying, it's this digital crap, we're never going to print digital crap. It was funny how things changed once I got onto my, I think it was Canon 60 or D60 or something like that. It was the 6 megapixel Canon, which was equivalent to an EOS 1. It was really expensive back then as well. And I'll never forget bringing it, he goes, oh, the color. I said, yeah, but film has its own colors. If you tell me that for cover shots you prefer Velvia, so you've already put a color onto, and anyone who shot film knows that if you look at the packet of film, it tells you the color that's going to go in the picture. So Velvia, you have your Provia, you had your Kodak, which was gold, you had all the different ones.
Did you create the moving walls in your studio yourself? You did.
Yep. We'll see how it goes. We might do a building wall. Cool. No, we should do a building wall one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a building wall to show you how we actually make it. And we're definitely going to do a painting one.
Cool. Peter, what to study to improve your photography? Like, what should you search and study to improve it?
I got a camera, I picked it up and started using it.
Practice.
When I got into a problem, I would then search online to try and find a way that I could understand the problem I was having. I didn't want, so too many times, especially young, I made too many mistakes by listening to photographers that might have answered my problem with their style, if that makes sense. So they might have had a fix for the problem that I was having, but it was also them putting their style onto whatever that problem was. So it might have been the color. I don't even know what problem. So I would just look for things, then look for 3 or 4 different answers, and then take the answer that most suited me. I'm just grabbing another picture. So rating. This was all shot in Milan. This is actually shot in the same place. Yes.
Any advice on how to help overcome a model's insecurities?
Make her feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It can be really hard. I have a little bit of a problem that some of the models come in, they look up at me too much. Like they're, sort of like, oh my God, I'm shooting with Peter, I'm so nervous. See, that's the worst thing. That's so hard for me to get out. I just want to be, for me to get good photos, we need to be on a level playing field.
Other than that, I guess just, making them feel comfortable.
No, you can answer this.
That's what I'm trying to think.
Well, your shoot recently, you felt very uncomfortable, didn't you? Not with me.
Yeah.
Right. So, what sort of things should you do to make that? What was that shoot not doing, or what should have they done, which you think would have made you more comfortable? Is the way they spoke to you, the way?
I can't think at the moment, really.
Oh, you haven't got wine.
Let me have a think about it. I'll come back. I'm trying to think of
what upset you, or how it upset you.
Do you keep the layers you don't use?
Yeah. If a layer, unless it's a copy of the picture, doesn't add any size to your image. So I'm just flicking through these to decide which one I'm going to retouch, and she really liked that because it's got a yellow on it, so I might do, and she liked that too. I might do that. She liked that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that shot?
I had such a girl crush on her.
You did, didn't you? That was shot on the Otis 100. That was also shot at f1.4. This will be a really easy retouch. So anyway, you keep asking.
For your black and white images, do you check your black densities? Total ink.
What were you talking about with printing?
I think so.
Yeah, I've got a preset up.
Yeah. Where do you set your black densities for your personal prints?
Most of my work is printable. So I'm actually doing this in my retouching, looking at my histograms. I'm very careful not to block up blacks. So I don't think I've, with my own image, had to ever play around, and I'm certain one of the printers I use for my bigger work, he made the comment that your work is just so easy, it's just print it. He doesn't have to play around with it too much. So yeah, I think it's part of a little bit of the learning I got from Les Walkling about getting a printable area. And my warnings when I'm shooting is to make sure I have the detail in my blacks and my whites. And then when I'm retouching, I'm going to say, all right, so I want the blacks of the eyelashes to be black, but I don't want the black in her hair to be black. I hope that answered.
Yes, my mic is bad. I'm trying to talk louder for Peter's, and into this, if it's getting anything, we will not be using this sound mixer again. Clearly, it causes problems. Do you shoot in an Airbnb when you travel for workshops?
Oh yeah, this is an Airbnb. Yeah.
In the courtyard?
No.
Oh.
That's at the front door, I think.
Oh.
That looks like wood, so there's no wood in the courtyard. So I think that's the front door. But yeah, no, we shoot in Airbnbs all the time. Even done commercial shoots in them.
I said thanks for the about insecurities, about models' body. Their teeth are crooked, spots on the skin. I don't like cheekbones. It's all in their head. Yeah.
Don't get in front of a camera if you don't like yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry, and what I do have a talk with a lot of the models that if your best friend had a crooked nose and they said they were going to have an operation to have it straightened, you'd say, don't be stupid, I love your crooked nose. Well, I normally say to the model, just because you don't like it, the rest of the world loves that. And it's not the picture isn't for you anyway, it's for the rest of the world to look at. So yeah, get over it. Or people like that shouldn't be models. If they're going to be so worried about, if they're worried about crooked teeth, go have it fixed. If they can't afford to have it fixed, don't get in front of a camera. It's pretty much that, I'm scared of heights. I'm not going to do freaking rooftop climbing, and if you're scared of heights,
Yeah, I'm petrified of heights, and there's no way known I'll ever go skydiving, because that would just be stupid.
All right, quickly before you answer me, next question. I've brought new raw in. I'm going to take the sharpening off again, because I hate sharpening. Absolutely hate it. That picture there, I don't even want to hit. I'll hit auto, see what it does, but I know it's not going to be what I like. Oh, hardly. Oh, did it change? Yeah, it did change. It's actually done something I like and done something I don't like. So again, I'm going to pull off any of the saturation and color stuff. I've pulled off my exposure, so I like the exposure here, but I do really like that shadow fill coming into that wood behind her, so I can grab some of that texture. My blacks are looking, black in the eyelashes are looking nice and black. The whites aren't looking like anywhere close to clipping, so I've got a fair bit of room up in that area. Drop it onto black and white, and I'll just quickly show you my black and white in here. Again, what I'll do, I'll hit auto to see where it goes. Do I like that or not like it? And all I'm looking at is it taking in the direction I want to go or not, and not really. None of these bottom are going to affect this picture. The blue and green might affect her eye. Nah.
She had brown eyes.
She had brown eyes. Well, blue and green won't affect her eyes at all. Quite often the yellow will pop out blonde hair, but that's getting a bit close to cooking anyway, so I'm just going to leave the yellow where it was. We can make her an Oompa Loompa with the orange, or we can make her clean up skin by taking, but I'm quite happy with that dead center. Her lips, brighter or darker. No, I'm not gonna play with anything. I'm absolutely very, very happy with that. Just going dead flat out. The only thing I want to check, when that went to black and white, yeah, the luminosity didn't really change. So really happy with that. If you wanted to play around with textures, clarities, and dehaze, it can add, like I can get some nice little punch by putting some dehaze in there, but then you can take it too far. I use it more on really, someone with freckles or something really strong where I want to pronounce it. The clarity on here, it's taking away from it with me, so I'm not going to even touch any of that stuff. I'm just going to open this as is. Now you can ask questions.
Cool. How do you star/color rate your photos? What are the key things you look for?
I just flipped through the whole thing, and I've changed what I'm doing in Photomechanic now. So I'm looking through the whole thing, and I'm starting at, I like it at an 8. I'm pretty savage. If I don't like something, I normally delete it. So even on my first run through, I'll like it's an 8. If I don't like it, it's deleted.
But
so,
you do still have a copy of every single photo somewhere, yeah?
Not with my Sonys.
Oh, okay.
I get pretty savage on them.
I didn't realize.
Yeah. And the Hasselblad is also anything shot at the studio. Every single file is kept for the Hasselblad. All my commercial work, predominantly. On a commercial shoot, no, I don't do that. I'm talking about my shoots.
Your personal, yeah.
So I'll go through, and I literally, if I don't like it, I delete it. And I think even here, if I come up, so if I go down through this lot, I don't think you'll see anything that doesn't have a color. Yeah. So this has been culled quite a bit. I think we shot about 800 or 1,000 frames, and that's the only ones that to me were worth keeping. But what I'm doing is I'm doing color codes because they're quicker. I don't need to use 2 fingers. I don't need to use control number. So I just go 8s. Then all the 8s come up. I then get anything, go through the second time. Anything I like now gets a 7. Then I only bring up all the 7s. Anything I like gets a 6. Then I only look at all the 6s. And you'll just find that the best pictures always seem to get in that next number. until I get down to, when I get close to the end, it's quite often, it's normally between 3 pictures. It's not a big, when I've, of each look. So I might have 10 pictures I love from the shoot, but each look might only be 3 pictures, and then it's just up to either the model loved that one, and I like all 3, so I'll do the one that the model liked the most.
That answers culling process as well, which Daniel just asked. Do you like working with new models?
Yes and no. Yeah, it's good. I like meeting new people.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have to go through my whole spiel. I'm so sick and tired of listening to myself do. But I have this whole spiel. I talk to them about what I'm looking for and what real modeling is. And we actually pretty much teach the model how to model, regardless of how long they've been working. And they all say the same thing. Oh my God, why didn't someone tell me this years and years ago? Because they found that the way that I work is much more in a style that they prefer to work. If they've been doing e-commerce and that too long, might take me half an hour till I get them to flow properly. But yeah, it's a little bit. The only problem with this is when we're traveling, we're only shooting for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. And if I'm wasting an hour, well, it's not wasting, if I'm spending an hour getting them into the zone I want them into, it only leaves me an hour to shoot.
Yeah, gets tricky.
It gets tricky.
And I guess the other side of that, working with new models, like if they're new to modeling.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're normally nervous, so it's really hard to get rid of that nervousness.
Yeah. But it can be kind of good in the long run, because if they're new to modeling, they don't have any bad habits yet. So
yeah, no, from that side of things, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree 100% with that.
Good night to England. It's 2 a.m. over there.
See you in the morning.
Yes, this will be available to watch later on.
I'm just going to quickly interrupt. Instead of doing all my stuff I did before, I just run my action. So it's the same what you just saw before, but now I don't have to go and build all of that.
For the sets, for the photos that you're working on, is it a paid shoot by the model, or did we hire the models?
This was a test shoot through an agency.
Yeah, these models are from
Woman,
yeah, Woman.
In Milan.
An amazing agency in Milan. Peter's been working with them for a few years, so I email them letting them know that we're coming back to Milan, and if they have any models who want some new photos in their folio, they send me through that. Yeah, so it's for Peter's folio and theirs.
That and some, although I haven't been back to the countries, there's some agencies in some of the countries actually pay me to do 1 hour tests to train. So we haven't been to those countries for a little bit. I'm just quickly looking at this picture, and I'm going to my healing tool. I think I can nearly do all my, here we go, sitting there somewhere. I can nearly do all my retouching. Well, I think this will be a really quick retouch if I don't talk too much. So again, I'm just doing that black and white, the really light, really dark thing of anything that bugs me. Oh, that's cool. I love this. Here we go. So if I keep going in.
Oh my gosh.
So this picture is unsharpened. How cool is this lens? This is the Otis. I know they're expensive as hell, but...
Ooh. I forgot to ask someone before. Someone asked the beginner question, what's wrong with sharpening?
Why do I need to sharpen that? In fact, I'll show you what's wrong with sharpening. Let's filter, sharpen. Let's go, let's just do an unsharpened mask on this. I don't know if you can see it. That looks natural. That doesn't look natural, and that's only a tiny amount of sharpening. That's a 1 radius at amount 50.
I can't see a difference. Oh, the eyelashes.
Look at the eyelashes. It
Now
doesn't look real. What I say is put your hand up in front of a screen. If the screen is sharper than what you can see on your hand, it's not real. It doesn't give that beautiful real feeling. And then if I start pushing some of this, and especially if I push radius, now you're going to see what's wrong with sharpening. See, it just feels revolting. I can't stand. Yeah, the whole world, a lot of the world treats sharpening like sugar or salt. They get used to the amount they've got on their food and they add more.
I love salt though.
There's always one. Right, so while she looks up the next question, I'm just
Lauren
going
said Tumblr notified him that you're a genius.
I'm a genius.
No.
Tumblr?
Yeah.
Well, I don't use Tumblr anymore because Tumblr was a site that I loved because I could find awesome fashion images. I followed only about 30 sites, but these were people that managed to find these incredible fashion images. And it was a source for my, I don't know, it just gave me inspiration to go out and shoot. I'd see something, oh my God, that's so cool. I need, not copy, I need to, shoot. This is inspiring me to shoot more. Then they came in with their G-rated crap. And even to the point of bare shoulders was starting to get not allowed. All of a sudden, every single person that I followed just stopped. They just gave up on it. I can't go into Pinterest to cut the same crap. If you get to the high end of Vogue and your Numero, ID, WV, all these magazines I love, there is nudity in fashion. And they're for women. Men don't buy those magazines. And it's women looking amazing for women, and women love looking at naked women, right? Well, in a fashion sense. Now we can't find those. I can't find those things anymore, so I dumped Tumblr.
You need to record a video for new models explaining everything.
We've been talking about that.
We've been talking about doing a workshop for models, but yeah.
That was, yeah, we will. We're just,
I will.
In fact, now that we have got no work, it's just really surreal. I've never been in this situation in my life. We're fine. We'll get by. We'll find our ways, and I'm not scared about it. I've got still horrendous overheads like studios and all of our gear, and just like our insurance bills, $10,000 and all of those things. Beck's wine bill. And yeah, we're pretty much full for the rest of the year. Like we'd have a day or two each month that we could take more bookings on. Our calendar is absolutely empty for the rest of the year.
Well, hopefully this goes away, and so then we can fill it up with coming.
We'll just refill it. But it's just we've never been in this situation. So part of the reason we're doing this is we've got to do something, but this hopefully will get people more to know about us. So when we do come and travel, you'll know that who we are and what we do. Also, our Inspire is what we're living off now. So our Inspire site, we normally put up 2 full tutorials. That's not 2 videos, that's whole tutorials
which our whole tutorial can have about 4 to 6 videos in it that go for about half an hour
and
each.
A tutorial can take us up to 40 hours to get done. But we normally put 2 up a month. While this is happening we're putting 1 up every week. And we normally only do a YouTube once every 2 weeks, isn't it? Whereas we're going to do a live every week, and we're going to do a non-live at least 1 every week to fill our day in and keep us...
I'm not going crazy.
It's going to be boring just shooting you every day.
Well, we can find
we can find
quarantined.
Always, we might have that nice girl who can't get back into her country.
Yeah, we'll shoot her a message. What is some...
I'm not really doing much retouching.
I know you're doing it.
You keep asking. So all I'm going to do while I'm answering questions now, I'm just going to dodge and burn her face. I've done the healing, which was like 4 dots. So you can ask questions again.
What is your advice to start working with good agencies?
It's hard. It's really hard now. 10 years ago, agencies were awesome. The actual agencies themselves are awesome. The work the models are doing is not awesome. So back when I was first working a lot with agencies, we had this great sort of thing that the agencies need models to have fresh, up-to-date pictures. They want them to be updated all the time. They needed to put work up. It needed to have that nice fashion editorial type feel. They wanted a bit of edginess to it because it would attract new clients. All of those things, well, that's all gone now. They just want boring e-commerce, and they don't want their face to look too good because it's all about their measurements, because they're just now coat hangers. The agencies are more happy with a very natural looking, nothing shot with very, very plain lighting, more than a photographer doing something really cool. So they're not looking for that more edgy type of editorial type style anywhere near as much, because that's not the work that they're getting, or the models, and it's not the work they want, because like I said earlier, that magazines more and more don't want to pay for anything. So editorial is, what are you doing?
I nearly trimmed on the cord.
Editorial is, unless you're the photographer that magazine loves and they use you a lot, it's very hard to get into. And same with the modeling. And you need to, if you're not in vogue right now, so right at the moment, all the magazines have gone stupid on Bella Hadid at the moment.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either, but anyway, they've all gone stupid on her because she's what's in vogue, so they don't tend to just put unknowns up as much. So with the agency in this whole world of, well, their clients are e-commerce, so we need the girls to have photos on their pages to attract e-commerce clients. But if anyone's seen my e-commerce, we didn't do anyone on that, do we? Only for Inspire. We did a couple of e-commerce shoots, and they are horrible. And most of the comments were, yuck, who would want to shoot that? And that's right. So, but that's what the agencies are looking for. So it's really hard. But yeah, contact them. You just got to make sure when you're contacting them, you have a good, someone with some good photos. Don't expect them to go and click on your website.
Send through photos.
Send through a couple of photos of your work, a link to your website or your Instagram. Instagram's most likely better because I'll do a search on that. And show them what you're intending to do with their model. So the styling, who's going to be hair and makeup, who's going to be, all of that stuff. And there's more chance they're going to answer you than you. If you've got a girl I can shoot, there's a good chance they're not going to answer you.
Even agencies sometimes don't reply to me, and so.
Yeah, I can't remember where that was.
London.
London, that's right. Yeah, didn't even reply to say no.
Yeah. So.
And that was for commercial work as well as,
yeah.
But they were very e-commerce-y.
No. What advice do I have for aspiring models?
There you go. Talk up though.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a thick skin pretty early on. People are going to talk about you, especially on commercial shoots. Stylists and clients are gonna talk about you like you're not even there. So get used to that.
Who booked that?
Yeah.
Didn't they look at the size of her ass? I've actually heard that.
Can't put this top on her because her arms are too fat.
Fat. Yeah. She has man hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are we going to do with the stubble on her lips?
Yeah. You've got to get a thick skin pretty quickly.
And they're not being nasty, it's just that it's the industry. Time's money. They don't have, that's not seriously not nasty. They treat models as if they're jars on a shelf. There's a blue jar, green jar, red jar. Today they want the red jar, but a green jar came in, and they'll just say, wrong color.
Yeah. So it's not like, yeah. What else? Do your research on photographers. Make sure that just do your research, because there are a lot of sleazebags out there and a lot of people who are taking photos for the wrong reasons. So make sure that you know who you're shooting with. And what else was I going to say? Also, if you are just starting out, I think it's good to find a photographer that you are comfortable with and you like their style, and work with them a lot while you're learning how to feel and learning how to pose and practicing, I guess. And just don't just go out and shoot with absolutely everyone. I think it's better to find someone you're comfortable with and practice that way.
Yeah, I think it's important for both models and photographers to, especially when they're starting out, to have a muse. Someone that they get to know each other, they know their boundaries, they know what they're going to get. It gives you something to fall back on and play and try and do stuff, and not have to worry about being judged about doing something stupid and dumb. And somewhere where a model can learn to let go without worrying about the photographer thinks she looks stupid or dumb or whatever.
Yeah.
So just quickly before you open your mouth again.
Sure.
Some people might like that. That's gradient map put on it. I put a very, very small down curve, but then I decided I like it as is. So with this picture here, the before and after, is a tiny little bit of cleanup.
Hardly anything.
This is what I'd call a 5-minute retouch. Although now I'm saying this, I see one little thing I want to fix on the screen. So let's find out in a minute. No, it's on her.
Is Peter's action set available to use? It is available to download on Inspire.
But you have to be a member.
You have to be a member of Inspire.
But you just saw how to make it. Yeah. So you can just make your own. It's seriously, it's a very, just because this will go up again, you can just watch it stop and start, and it's a simple little action, and all it does is just put all the layers in place for me to work with.
Would you say that your commercial contracts are driven by your personal work?
Yeah, not that they want my style. It's really weird. Although there is definitely people who book me because of my style, but I'd say more people book me because of the expression I get out of the models' faces.
Yeah.
So a lot of my clients, in fashion, of course, color is going to be fairly strong for non-editorial stuff. Editorial, they're happy to do black and white, but for their own websites and that, they're going to want color. They want to show off what they've got. So yeah, we have clients that travel. We had one travel twice from Germany to do shoots, and it was basically, I said, you've got great photographers in Germany, but I want that look, and nobody gets that look. Yeah. So yeah,
she didn't even want it in black and white though.
No, it was all in color.
Yeah.
But and it's something you can spend a heap of money on advertising and things like that. The old way of advertising was getting in editorials. The new way of advertising is just putting up a really good picture on social media somewhere where it can be seen. Facebook's pretty weak for social media these days. Insta's pretty strong still. I know lots of creatives are bouncing off Insta. Yep. 500 pics in any photography web page, you're not going to pick clients up on. That's because they don't go to those pages.
I'd never even heard of 500 pics before I started working.
So Pinterest, not really. I don't know. The clients will tend to jump on there and pick up inspiration shots, and I'll quite often make a Pinterest folder and send it to me. I don't think they really look at photographers on there. I think people see us on social media or some of the magazines that we still do. They see that, and we get our inquiries from there. So, yes.
Tim said he joined Inspire a few days ago and is enjoying the content. Thank you. We're glad you are enjoying it. What is your favourite sport?
used to be fishing for a lot of my life, but then I just became a sook and didn't like hurting. I know it sounds really weird, but I became a sook. And when you've been doing it as long as I'd been doing it, and especially working with some of the best fishermen in the world, and really understanding how a fish's minute little brain works, fishing does become very easy. And I was a fly fisherman as well, so I was doing the hardest form of fishing. But when you can start catching mako sharks or tuna on fly, and it's not just catching little trout, it started to get a little bit. It got too easy. I didn't like hurting, and a lot of, especially in salt water, when you release a fish in salt water, there's a good chance it's going to get eaten by something within a tenth of a second of releasing it. And especially far north Australia, nothing to catch 100 fish in a day and release as a sport. I just got over it, but I've always loved. Now I don't know if they're charged ones.
They are, because I got them out.
Oh, you got them out. Always loved car racing. Always watched it, and whenever I could get to track days and stuff like that, always did it. Did a little bit of karting. That's my favourite, but my normal life, I don't have free time, or not to dedicate a whole day to going down onto a track and do some track time. So I built myself a very expensive sim, and even now I don't even get to do that as much as I want to, but I'm trying so hard to try and get one race in, well, 5 races a week, which is 5 hours a week. And I did a race last night. And
did you crash?
No, I didn't crash. I only went off track 3 times. I had someone who tried to anal ram me once, and I just told him to back off, because I'm racing humans, not computers. And he backed off and crashed behind me, so it was really good. But no, I had a good race. I think I finished 4th, and I started 18th and worked my way up. It was a 1-hour race too, and it was at Spa. I love Spa. Anyway.
If a model uses oil on their skin, what's the best?
Not baby oil. Anything that's got a petrochemical in it, which means anything that's a petrochemical. You know what happens if you put petrol or oil on the road and then put water on it? You get rainbows. And what will happen if you put anything like a baby oil, you'll get this sort of rainbowing effect off light off it.
That could be cool.
No, it's not. It's pretty ugly. And it even gives nearly gives like a gradient sort of effect on skin in black and white. I tend to use, one of the things I like is a Banana Boat have an aerosol sunscreen, and when you spray that on and wipe that on, it gives this really nice shimmer. And we've already done a talk about, there is a brand of a sex gel, which is very expensive, but it's, I first found out about it through a latex rubber company who used it to be able to get the latex rubber on, and then they shined it over the top. And they were always against anything that was a petrochemical because it broke down the latex itself. And when I saw the effect that did, it was amazing. I can't remember what it's called. But
if the current lockdown has been lifted and business is resumed, will we be accepting a new photography assistant?
You have to ask her, because
I'm not going anywhere, unfortunately.
And sorry, Beck's not my photography assistant. She's my PA.
Yeah, so I do all of the
admin and
but
make sure that my
diary is all correct and everyone's happy. Peter's got a coffee and a Southern.
No, you've got a wine. I've finished with that one. Did you, while we're just talking, did you want to have full screen on here rather than, do you know how to do that?
Should just be, there we go.
There we go. And that's just so you know, we're in my house. That's my lovely backyard. We just got trees and bush and...
Vincent said he doesn't know how some of the models in New York are handling the clients being hard on them. As a model, it is just something you've got to...
Suck it up.
Suck it up. Like, I know that sounds bad, but you can't change the way that clients are going to speak. And
but they do it with photographers. I've been
yeah.
on shoots where the art director goes, "That lighting shit. What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm following your directions. Let me do it myself." And then
the other thing is, traditionally, a model is basically a living mannequin. You're there to model the clothes.
you're a coat hanger.
You're not there to have feelings. So I know that sounds bad, but
that's the industry.
That's the industry. You're there to, yeah. It's horrible, but to say that, like, I feel like that sounded really harsh.
But no, but at the end of the day, their job is to hang a bit of clothing to make it look good so it sells.
Yeah.
So it's not about them.
Yeah.
It's about when you get to supermodel status, then people use your status to sell the clothes. So you're a lot more like an influencer. So that's the two different levels. So when you're just starting out, you just got to suck it up. And a lot of, it's pretty much around the world, new models and that the training that they will do is send them to China or Vietnam for 3 months, and they get work 7 days a week, hardly get paid a cent, and they get treated so bad, like freezing cold water. In you go, come on, you know, all of that, no breaks, work all day long, and the agencies use that to sort the strong from the weak out, because if you can survive 3 months in China or Vietnam or one of the way that they treat the models, now you're ready to maybe go to Milan.
Yeah. After you do your edits, how much do clients alter your work after you turn the images over? And do you get any say on those edits?
I have different levels of clients. So I have clients that just get the RAWs, clients that will just get JPEGs, unretouched, just straight out of the camera, and their own graphics departments will do whatever they do because those clients have their look. Even with magazines, there's a lot of magazines that have their own, the bigger magazines have a certain style they have with their images, and they might have an in-house retoucher that will do that work. I don't get hung up on that. Look, I like producing my image from start to finish, which means involved with the selection of the location, the lighting, the model, the clothing, the hair and makeup, then through the retouching, right through to the printing, what stock and that it's going to be on. But that's more if a client wants my 100% look. When it comes down to the commercial, my job is to give the client the file that they're after. And a lot of times with the industry, they might have their own retouching team that they want their look because it's going in their company, and it could be as simple as this label has a look and we have our in-house retouch. It doesn't bother me. The only thing that does bother me is models that decide to put Instagram filters over my work.
Or what if they liquefy themselves?
Or liquefy themselves. You would never do that.
I'd never do that.
I don't think you put a filter on mine.
I haven't.
No, but I have had. I find that rude because that's like me taking a photo of you and then putting some other model's face on you.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. Actually.
Well, it's not my work. Yeah. So if they want that look, go get your boyfriend, take a picture with your iPhone, and then put your filter on.
Peter used to have 500 pics. Why did you delete it?
Yeah,
deleted Peter.
I used to be their ambassador. They actually had me come over and do 2 days for them, and they used to. I was an ambassador for them, but a Chinese company bought them, and I'm inappropriate for their page. They just straight out deleted me. They didn't even. They just said, "Bang, you're gone."
I remember I was trying to get it reactivated, and they said that you were putting up not safe for work content, but you didn't tick the box to say that it was not safe for work.
But I hadn't put anything up. They had changed their rules, and even a bare-shouldered shot was not safe for work content.
That's so crazy.
But look, when the first time they did something to my page, I rang up and spoke to the guy that I knew there, and he said, "New management, things are going to get worse." And the second time, when they actually had deleted, without even telling us, I rang up and he didn't even work there anymore. But someone else said, "Yeah, it's the new owners. They've got new policies, and you didn't change your page. And I said, do they notify anyone? He goes, no, they just don't want you. So yeah, and it's again, we only had the site more for when we run our workshops to have. As a way of advertising to photographers around the world. My commercial work, I don't know of a commercial client of mine that would even know what 500 pics was.
Yeah. Inspire is a website that...
Tutorial page.
Yeah,
Pay, it's like a subscription pay site. We put up content normally every 2 weeks, but we're putting out every week.
Link is down below in the description if you would like to check it out. That was a really weird voice I just did.
Yeah, someone commented the other day that Beck has 2 voices. One, her model voice when she's modeling, and she becomes this powerful woman. But then when she's just talking, she goes back to primary school.
All right, is the video camera out of focus? I'm looking at it now and it looks pretty in focus to me.
It's on an autofocus.
It's on autofocus, so maybe it like went out of focus at one point. Sorry about that. I don't know why my hand just did that thing.
Because it does.
Technical remark about your website. Is it labeled insecure? Looks like a library that you use from a third party.
Yeah, it is. It's not a selling site. There's nothing on there that we sell. It's a gallery. It's a... I might have to change it soon because I think it's a flash site. I liked it because it just cost me a set figure a month. The back end works really, really easy. And I'm talking about my gallery site.
Oh, I understand now.
Right. I just using as a gallery of my work. That's all it's there for, with links through to all our other sites. So I didn't want to spend a fortune and most IT people, they can't just do what you ask them. So I'd spent so much money on sites, and I found this site, which was really, really easy to upload, download to all of that work, lay it all out, and it's just a monthly fee, and it was just so much easier. I don't know what they're going to do with everyone getting rid of Flash. So
I realized I meant like the little lock thingy at the top on the website.
On our own website, actually has not secure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just realized that. Sorry.
But that's on my gallery site.
Yeah.
On our Inspire, everything else is we paid lots of monies to be built.
You mentioned the future of Hasselblad may be in doubt. What did you mean?
I think I'm still an ambassador, although I don't think I should hold my tongue. I just don't know what's going to happen with the company. The H series, I believe, is not going to be made anymore. That's it. There's not going to be a new one. So they most likely continue with the mirrorless system. I don't know. I'm not seeing the development that in like the software. I'm not seeing, like, they're not asking me to even do anything. Before DJI owned it, there was stuff happening all the time, and I'm just watching. I'm not seeing new releases of Focus with new stuff coming out on it. I definitely haven't seen anything happening with the H series, and then you've got Imicon scanners. I think of now. That's it. They're not going to work with newer forms of software, never going to be updated again. So you've got to have to keep an old computer even to run them. So I just don't know. It's annoying because I see Hasselblad is such an iconic, it's nearly like saying Ferrari. I see Hasselblad like that. And at the moment, even though they put lots of nice, really old shots of what Hasselblad was, the cameras on the moon and all of that stuff, I'm not seeing the direction they're taking, saying, hey, we're going to keep this going this way. So I don't know. I think it's because I'm used to seeing a certain level happening, and I haven't seen that happening. And I used to have people I could talk to, and now there's nobody I can talk to. Yeah. There doesn't seem to be anybody.
I'll talk to you. Paul said now he knows it's the apocalypse because I'm drinking water. We both are.
No, I'm drinking sparkling vodka.
Oh. Where was mine?
Sparkling vodka? It's water.
A bit too early. Well, it's after 12 now, so... I'm joking. Are we in the Dandenongs? Yes.
Yes.
We are. Thank you for all you do for the rest of everyone. You guys are very welcome. We hope that this is some positivity and entertainment.
Closer.
I look silly.
Oh, everyone's used to you looking silly.
I don't know how much they could hear it. That's why I'm just trying to yell so you guys can hopefully hear me. Warren said he wants one of your t-shirts, but he's having to sell his body for it to pay for it.
What are they? About $60 or something?
Yeah, from memory.
Postage, yeah. So we can't do them any cheaper. So it's just we get charged. Postage is a killer. Postage is ridiculous. But anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it's only a little thing that I only had them done because I'm one of these silly people that just like wearing t-shirts and decide to print one once as a joke. And I got so many comments about it, I printed a few more. But anyway, that's beside it. And with the person thanking us for it, so it's actually, if we weren't doing this, I think we'd be a bit down.
Yeah.
I think that would be affecting us a little bit.
Definitely.
So it's good. It's good for us, and I do, like I was saying earlier, I really enjoy helping people to make something that everyone tries to make photography really hard, and my aim is to make photography really easy. Because I know when I was starting, everyone was making it hard. Like, you have to do this, you have to do this, all this stuff. Whereas, no, you don't. Pick up a camera, take photos if you like it. If you love it, show the world. And then put your fingers in your ears so you don't hear what anybody says.
What will you do if Hasselblad go out of business?
I don't know. I haven't, and this is a weird thing. So the X2 has been out and I haven't even touched one yet, which would never happen. Normally I would have a demo of any new camera to play with from, and I haven't even touched it. But the X1, I'm shooting with it more, and especially putting Otis lenses on it, even though we do have a bit of problem with wobbliness if she moves too fast. Gives her an egghead. I'm getting this amazing large format feel, and we've got tutorials we've got to finish editing. Yeah. We've got one coming up on YouTube where you'll see what I'm talking about. At the moment, I might look at see what Fuji's doing. The only thing is I really like the focus software. So I think Fuji's runs through Capture One. I'm not sure, but it's also the software side of things that even though, well, you can see I can still get my look. The latest picture I just edited, that's getting my look out of a Sony through ACR. So if anything, I'll have a play with the Fuji. I might even have another play with the Leica, or Sony. The CEO of Sony Cameras might be watching this and go over to DJI and offer them maybe $20 million for Hasselblad. They might sell it to you, and then you keep this really high-end camera going and keep the name of Hasselblad alive. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd be Sony. I have been happy with Sony, and I'm certain Canon and Nikon will get their act together with mirrorless.
Sunshine's coming out.
That's all right.
Hello. Okay. Andy is afraid that they just want to stick Hasselblad stickers on DJI drones.
Look, DJI didn't go out to buy Hasselblad. They had no choice. Hasselblad needed money. Banks wouldn't give it to them. DJI had a decent sharehold in it, so the only way they could do what they did was DJI had to put money in, which effectively made them own the company. I just don't know what their plans are for the company in the long run, especially when you see that, I don't know if it's just talk or it's real that there's been some pictures floating around of a DJI camera, which just looks like the Hasselblad X, but being made a heap cheaper. And you're never going to see Porsche put out a cheap version of their car. So I don't know why they would, but that's all hearsay.
Nonny said he loves me and I'm the best model in the world. Thank you, but I am not the best.
Terrible model. Costs so much in wine.
Someone asked earlier, what program do you use for file management? Photomechanic?
No, that's only for the RAW on Sony. File management, if Beck puts it back to me, to me, look at me. My file management's really, really simple. I take so many photos, I have to have it simple. So that's the hard drive that I've got plugged into this now. Oh yeah, I don't have enough memory. So you'll see that there's these folders, and if I go to any of these folders, there'll be a group of subfolders underneath it. So basically, each shoot is the client's name. Some clients that might work with me a bit will get a name with, it might have like this D6, which means drive 6, which helps me find it. But I can normally find my stuff really quick regardless. If I go to that folder, you'll see all the stuff that's within. That's just, it's not a good one to pick. Let's find one that I know will have a few layers in. Oh, that one might have a few. Yeah, so we've got our raw folder files from the shoot. We've got the previews that went off to the client. We've got the processes. We've got the raw. So they're the triple Fs with what was shot with the Hasselblads. The raws were what was shot with the Sony. So we shot some on location in the studio. The previews were sent off to the client. The process, that's the process folder. So with this company, this is only for web, all of this lot. So they're only JPEG. So I only export in JPEG. They get only opened and retouched once, so it's really quick. Then we've got what goes for their lookbook. So these are the finished edited images for their lookbook, and they're the printable images that have been edited to be printed. So everything that has to do with that one client sits in that one folder. And that's pretty much how I work my work. I can look at my diary. I know what date or what month the shoot was done. I know what drive that'll be on. Then it's really simple from there. Hope that helped. But yeah, I don't want to go on keyword. I don't need a keyword. I can actually come in here and type in a keyword and to be able to find something. And even now, if I just look at that, let's see, we've got, sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I don't get a file that comes up that has nudities in it, because we can't have nudities. Oh yeah, all right, so what I can do, because I know this folder's in here, if I'm unaware of a certain picture, so if I go into here and I jump in and I find Sabina SA, isn't it? There we go. That's all right, we'll just go there. So what I can do is, if I just go get info, I can come up here, copy that part of the name, hit copy, go back to my folder, and on my main system, it's got all the stuff on there. I just hit V and bang, it brings up all of those files. So I've got my TIFF, I've got everything sitting here to get hold of that quick. So I don't need any cataloging. I could just type her name. It's going to bring up every single picture of that client. Or if I know it's shot on a date, a lot of my, not all, but a lot of my work has got dates built into the file names.
What is the brand of the sex gel for skin shining that you use?
Can you remember? It starts with P.
I think it's called Pure. But I think it's spelled funny. I'll have to look it up and pop it in the description.
We'll put it in the
guys.
description, yeah.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think it's called Pure, but I think it's got like a J in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Where do you get your t-shirts printed?
We're just using a mob called T-Junction.
Yeah.
Which means you just put all your own stuff. You load your artwork into their webpage. You put your style. They've got their print area, and then you just pick what you want it printed on, what size you want, and hit order, and it just all happens from there.
When you did the video for models like Rara and Bonnie, did you pay them or were they models for clients?
If it was for Inspire,
we pay them.
If it's for clients, the client pays them.
Yes.
With, say, the video I put up of Tanya, that was just a camera sitting on top of my Hasselblad filming while we were shooting, and I wrote some music, put it to her and put it on YouTube. So I'm not making money, and most models love having that free bit of advertising.
Yeah.
But yeah, any of the stuff we do where we're using models, they get paid.
Yes. Do you make prints of your work, or will it live and die online? No, we do print.
Yeah, no, I print. I don't. Well, the amount I shoot is lots. Did you want to go back to full screen?
Oh.
There we go. Yeah, I do print. I've got in my man cave, slowly getting wallpapered in my prints. Yeah, one day I'll do a book or something. One day I just don't feel ready. I've got to take better pictures. When I take better pictures, then I'll do a book.
Yeah. What papers/inks and machine do you use for your prints?
I have Epson. I can't remember which one it is. I used to have the big 488s. Now I've gone to, I think it's 800 or something. I can't remember. But it'll print up to A2 and print continuous. I use the Epson inks, and I use Ilford paper as my main paper. I've got a bit of Hannibal photo rag, which I really like for a certain style of picture, and that's pretty much it. So I use, I think it's Gold Fiber Plus or something like that. I can run out there. If Ilford's watching, they're going to hate me for not remembering.
But I can't remember any names of them.
No, I find something I like and I just stick to it. So I tend to go to the black box or whatever.
Real technical way.
The one that's in the black box. That's you've changed your box colors. Oh, I'm stuffed now.
Oh my gosh! Even if Hasselblad went out of business, would you have to stop using them? Lois Greenfield still uses a 503CX with a crank on the side.
Yeah, I got a 503. So I'd still use them. It's just commercially in time, I don't know. The changes are going to happen, how viable, but I still love them. And I was talking to someone the other day about future-proofing a little bit, and looking at, I won't go into it, but it's make it just so I've got two cameras the same by shuffling a few things around. So if one camera does decide to cark it, I've still got a backup that gets me going for another 3 or 4 years.
Jamie said, the return of rebadged and repriced Sony's is Hasselblad.
So the return of rebadged.
Yeah. Warren missed out on getting a 500C a few years back and wishes he had because the price has gone up like crazy. Yeah,
it's actually something I'm glad I did because they went up a bit in price and everyone started dropping in price. And my old one was just too old. It was actually not, I bought it secondhand. It wasn't in good nick anyway. I managed to pick up one, like a really good nick one, very cheap. And yeah, it's most likely could sell it about 5 times what I paid for it now.
So the cheap Porsche is called a Volkswagen.
Yeah, but Volkswagen's still better than a, yeah.
Interesting to see what happens with Sony cameras being spun off into a subsidiary.
I think that's just a money thing. I think it's a proprietary limited type thing. I don't think it's anything to be read into. I think it's making each division of a company responsible for its advertising costs, its R&D. So one side of a business can't milk the other side of the business to stay afloat. I gather that's why they've done it.
Does Inspire have tutorials on women that are older and or rounder?
Yeah, well, I shoot everyone. Like when they say older, how old do you want me to shoot? Commercially, I shoot right through. We don't
all ages and sizes. It's more so we find that the people who are older or rounder, they don't feel comfortable in front of the camera, so they don't actually want their photo taken. It's not that we
don't want to take them.
It's just that they don't feel comfortable. We've had shoots with older people that we asked, like, would you mind if we filmed? And they've said no, they don't want the extra cameras on them. So it's hard.
It's same with size. Like there's only Natasha's getting. We did a thing on Natasha. Natasha's getting into it. She took a 5-year break. The first thing was, oh, look how old I'm looking, and look how much weight I've put on. We got some great images. So I'm not looking for skinny people. It's not. Because we're not working in that high-end haute couture fashion industry. But the problem, everyone likes pointing the problem at the photographer. They don't point the problem at the people aren't there that have got the confidence to get in front of the camera and let go because they're unhappy with how they look. So it's really hard to shoot someone who doesn't want to be shot. But we've got some Natasha. Next time I see Donna, I'll shoot Donna because I'm not going to say her age, but yeah, she's in older group. And Tisha's no spring lamb. Sorry, Tish.
Hello, Peter. Your first job?
First job that gave me money. I was self-employed. I went door to door collecting empty beer bottles. And then after every month, and I might have 1,000 empty beer bottles, the glass collector would come around and give you $2 for or whatever it was. Back in my days. First proper job was part-time at night times washing dishes in a Chinese restaurant. Then I was part-time in a ceramics factory. I won't go through all my jobs. I did lots.
Maybe they meant this ought to be one big long question. Maybe your first job with models. Did you pay?
You said first job.
Well, it does say first job, and then it's got a comma. So to me, that reads as that's its question.
First job with models. Well, I was being paid by a magazine for that. So first job on my own with a model, I found someone on, it was actually my business partner. We used her as a model. So that was my first job. And I think the next one was found on a site that I don't think exists anymore, called Net Model, which was a little bit like a Model Mayhem type of site where you find models. But I'm not sure where the question was going, but pretty much if it was a commercial shoot, they were booked and paid, so it was always way. If it was a folio shoot or something to get my portfolio better, I tended not to pay for models for that because I have a family to keep alive as well. So, but every now and then if I needed, it's that yin and yang thing. If you're sitting here and the model's sitting here, they're not going to shoot with you.
Yeah.
And they will, but you got to pay for it. And then the other way, when it's this way, the model's there and you're there, unless you really like their look, the only way you're going to shoot them is if they pay you, because you say, well, they're not really my look. I'm not going to use it in my folio, so I don't want to lose a date.
Tim said that he hopes to attend a workshop, and he did send me a message on Instagram. I will reply to that once we finish this live stream. I am sorry that I haven't gotten back to you. I spend more of my time logged in as Peter's Instagram, answering those messages than my own, because Peter's Instagram is more important than my own. But I'll log on to mine and...
But if they want to talk work, they shouldn't be contacting your Instagram.
If you want to talk
if it's to do with work,
you should be contacting Peter and not my personal, because chances are it's going to get lost. And
every now and then you stop using your personal anyway.
Yeah, I take breaks from social media. I log out of my account for weeks and just to reset myself. Anyway, I will get back to you.
She reads everything that's on
I read everything on Peter's. That's the best way to contact us.
And answering, we'd about 50-50 on answering. So I either sit there and answer late at night, or Beck will sit there and say, oh, such and such said this, and she'll type it, and I'll just...
Yeah, I'll type it and Peter will tell me what to... If it's technical, Peter tells me what to say. Are you going to adapt your shooting process for social distancing? We have hand sanitizer, and we...
No, but I don't get close to models anyway.
We keep distance as it is. It's not nice to be up in someone's space.
I did a commercial shoot on Saturday or Sunday, just gone, and it is with... it's with Dave Reynolds, who's a racing car driver in V8 supercars, and he's got a new TV show, and they needed a shot to go into the Herald Sun. So it was a commercial shoot, and they were all worried about, the social distancing. They were saying, "I will just find some old shoot," and they knew with me. I told them when they get there, beep the horn. They didn't, but I saw the car pull up, so I went and opened the front door so they didn't have to touch the door handle. We never went close to each other. Even though I'm really careful, I showed them where the hand sanitizer was. So it was never closer than 2 meters. I haven't got a cold or a cough or any symptoms at all. So I wasn't coughing or sneezing.
We've mostly just been sitting up in Mount Dandenong, just the two of us.
I know this doesn't look it, but if I've got it or she's got it, we would have got it off each other because we work together. Both her partner's working at home now.
It's been for like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. My wife only has 1 day a week work where she is now, and even that, she said there's only 4 people working the company. It's in a real small thing. So we're doing our bit. At the same time as we still only in Melbourne, I think we only have maybe 1,000 cases out of 5 million, and where we live, it's not. Yeah. We're pretty safe, but yeah, the social distancing that will be, well, if we can work, that is. But we've got models who want to shoot now, but they know that, well, people like Rara, she's desperate to shoot, but she's a germaphobe.
The best of times. Best experience and worst experience as a photographer?
Best experience? Oh, I don't like name dropping. It's really hard, but shooting with Daphne Guinness, I must say that was just such a buzz for me. She's such an amazing woman, and to be able to go into her whole wardrobe, which is the entire level, a whole floor of a building.
Gold.
And seeing a Chanel collection sitting on a Chanel 1956 or something sitting on a rack, and then having the freedom that she had Alexander McQueen stuff that had never been photographed in there, and she's just such an amazing person, and to be able to spend a day with her and photographing her for a magazine. Christine Millian was another one. I'm not name dropper, just there are 2 people that stand out. That just there 2 experiences I never expected because I was so different to what I expected. Christine Millian's was 15 hours, I think, we're shooting. It was a stinking hot day. We're shooting with big constant lights, which were 22,000 watts of light and heat. The place was just revolting to work in, but she was just such a trooper, just never complained once, and it was never, no, we're not going to keep going till we get it, and it was so cool. So that were my best. Worst will be friggin' arsehole business people that rip you off. So people that had never had any intention of paying you from the second, or they got you to fully come up with the ideas. You wasted so much time with them getting this really cool concept where it's going to be shot now. Next minute, they've got some other photographer shooting it for half your price.
But shooting your idea.
Shooting my idea.
Yeah, that's not fair.
So yeah, the And Becca knows of one of the occasions where the person who ripped us off fully had all intentions of ripping us off from the seconds
so
of
bad.
booking. And we just didn't see it. It's just everything. And when it came to the end, she just blocked us everywhere so we couldn't even contact her. It's just so rude. But
to take up, and it was on a weekend when you could have been spending time with your family. It's just low.
Yeah, but it's just those, the worst. And I've had a couple as a distributor in Australia who did sunglasses, and he just summed me up perfect and hit me for about 40K worth of work, and he's just a sleazebag. He builds his company by ripping people off.
That's so bad.
But yeah, the bad part of photography is some of the commercial shit.
Tim, I know you didn't mean it in a bad way. I get really narky when people don't reply to me, so it makes me feel really bad, so I'll get onto that as soon as I can. No one's going to tell me that my mic is off. Yes, people have. We're not sure what's wrong. It worked perfectly during testing, and now it seems to be really quiet, but I'm glad you guys can still hear me. How frustrating is Facebook rules? Warren got put in Facebook jail for 24 hours for an image that showed nothing, yet he sees other photography pages post way more revealing shots.
We do this. How's that? We just
cute.
share a bike.
How
Hopefully
cute.
that's loud enough.
Do you want me to hold it?
As long as you remember social distancing. Yeah, look, I don't know what's happening with Facebook. They tend to leave me alone a bit, but our group, they have warned us and deleted photos that there was a pregnant woman picture. There was no nudity in it whatsoever, and they delete it. They don't give you a thing to say review. It's just delete it and you're warned. And it wasn't a nude picture. And there's one sitting in, and Beck hasn't seen it yet, there's one sitting in our approved file, and I hope the guy's not listening, but it's got a girl and a guy on a couch, and the guy's topless, but the guy looks like he has boobs. So I'm certain it's going to get, and we're going to get a warning on our page that we're going to shut our page down. So, Facebook, I don't know. Facebook is, I hate the site, to tell you the truth. We just use it. I like the site to be in groups of people. It's normally racing car groups. It's my way of keeping up with news and things like that. But for photography and for art, it is the most, I don't know what it is with American-owned companies, but Google, Facebook, Apple, all these companies, like the whole reason Tumblr had changed is because Apple took their app down because someone found some child porn. Yeah, I'm 100% against that. But that wasn't, Tumblr didn't put it up there. Someone else snuck it up there. And I've seen so much more disgusting stuff like child porn that show up on Facebook. I don't see Apple cutting down Facebook over it. Anyway, that's me.
Your rant. My rant.
I find it disgusting that art, photography is art, fashion is art. There shouldn't be censorship. I believe there should be places for 13-year-old girls and boys to be safe. That's fine. I've got no problem with that. And I think there is photographers out there that push the whole blurring of the nipple way too far because it still looks like a nipple. So if it's not a site that those pictures should be put on, but there should be, it should just have a filter button. So unless you say, I approve of this, you shouldn't be allowed to. They can't see it anyway.
And I have a little puppy on my lap. Have you ever had a model's boyfriend give you some creative direction? Do you allow them into the studio during a shoot?
Any model's allowed to bring a chaperone, but if I find the boyfriend's interfering, even just by sitting where they're sitting, I'll just block them out. But most models can't handle, don't like a partner or even a mum being in the shoot because it's putting them off.
Yeah.
But with the controlling boyfriends means that the shoot's going to be crap anyway. And yeah, I've had a couple. So I have definitely had some of those. One in Paris where he sort of they had an agenda to the photo shoot that wasn't passed on to me because I'd worked with them before. And the second thing was part folio shoot, but also part a recording shoot for Inspire and they get paid for it, but they had an ulterior agenda to what they were after, and the boyfriend kept on, and then I realised what they were up to. And yeah, it was completely a different direction. They were two men magazine-y with what they wanted to do, and it's not what I wanted to do. But yeah, I try and have as least amount of people in my studio when I'm working as possible, just so we can just do what we want to do.
Yes.
Are we caught catching up?
We're caught up. Yeah, people are just complaining that Facebook sucks.
Yeah, no, look, I don't know if it'll ever happen, but one thing I must say, YouTube, I like the way that their rules are at the moment. I hope they keep them that way, that if you want to put up something that's not disgusting, but it's artistic, you just have to market as much, and they're happy to run with it. And Twitter's the same. Twitter tends to let people do, but you just got to market.
Yeah.
I have got, to me, yeah, anyway. Insta's not much better.
Well, Warren just said it's strange because Instagram seems to be easier to post implied nude on, even though it's owned by Facebook.
Yeah, but it's still a separate entity.
Yeah.
But regardless, I don't like monopolization, and I find both of them very monopolization.
Monopoly is a good game, though. I want to play that. Maybe I'll play it on the weekend. I have the My Little Pony one.
Oh, are you allowed to go from... You're not allowed in hotels. You can't go play in the parks.
Puppy. People are saying, thank you. You guys are more than welcome. We are glad you enjoyed it. We've been gone for 3 hours now.
Yeah, we better get back to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so thanks to anybody who's hung around for the 3 hours.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry for
wasting half of your day.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll do another live next week. We want to do a cooking, don't we?
Yeah, we're going to cook some stuff.
We're going to cook. So you can ask photography questions
while we cook.
So, yeah.
I'm hungry, actually. Have some lunch.
Yeah, have some lunch.
Yep.
So, yeah, thank you very much. Again, you can keep commenting below.
Beck still owes us a vlog. I do. I filmed it.
Yeah. Never gonna happen.
I filmed it on the weekend of me doing my own little Q&A, but my lighting was really bad and it gave me a double chin, and I'm super critical of myself, and I never want to put out content that I don't like, so I'm refilming it this weekend. Me and Jared are going to film one. He's going to do my makeup.
You keep saying this. I can't see it happening.
Okay. Anyways, I will. Okay. That's all. Thank you guys. Leave any questions. We will get to them. And details will be in the description down below. Keep posted on when our next live stream will be. And stay safe and stay happy.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
See ya.